Yo, what's poppin', guys? Sizzyl here. Welcome back to another episode of the Grow Podcast. On this episode, we're talking about Team Fortress 2 with a heavy focus on the cosmetics and competitive scene for the game, although other things will still definitely be discussed. And with that out of the way, I hope you enjoy the episode. So I'm Sizzyl, and I do YouTube. I kind of upload whatever. It's not very consistent, and yeah.
Well, I'm Rangod. I just upload unboxing content mostly. I spend a lot of money on that. I think probably has spent
I'm
at least
sorry.
$10,000 on unboxings.
Oh
my
my
life.
god, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, I don't regret any of it, even though it is a lot of money. But I've had a good time unboxing throughout my life. So, and I've made a big following. I have over 14,000 subscribers because of it. So, I mean, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, my name is Slide. I do TF2 YouTube as well. I've been doing it for like a couple years now. And yeah, I upload commentary, variety content, whatever I feel like. Yeah, that's me. Just about.
Yeah. Nice. I'm Quique. I do a mix. I mostly do like high level pub, low level competitive content. My claim to fame, quote unquote, right now is I played engineer in Six's video. And yeah, so just mostly that kind of content. Next video should be how to play engineer in Sixes. Then after that, I'll figure things out. Maybe I'll have to force myself to play Pyro. We'll see.
So you're just gonna go through. You could go through like every class in Sixes.
Well, I am a pocket soldier.
Sixes.
Yeah, so I'm a pocket soldier. So I have played competitive for a couple years. I've played Highlander, Prolander, Ulti-Duo, whatever. But I made a video forever ago. Basically saying it was just like, hey, if you, with the exception of Spy, if you want to play a class full time in 66, because I don't think any of you guys play competitive or are interested. But basically,
I did at some point.
Yeah. So for the others, essentially, if you play Highlander or Prolander to a lesser degree, but especially Highlander, if you pick a class that is not Sniper or Demo Man, for the most part, your class role gets boiled down to a very, very specific thing. And Pyro, which is that you only air blast. That is your job. Your job is to spy check, which is boring, to air blast the enemy Uber when they use into you or whatever, and that's boring, and to reflect rocket projectiles away from the combo, which is boring. So you sit around and basically do nothing the whole time. It's the same thing with engineer. You build in the exact same spot. I don't know if you guys saw the new Uncle Dane video when he's talking about he felt like he got worse when he played Highlander. That's why, because you have to put your buildings basically in the exact same place every time. It's very scripted. So if you want to get better, one thing I was saying was with the exception of Spy, if you want to play a class full time in 66 or no restriction Sixes, which is the Valve competitive that RGL runs as well, or I run within RGL, you can play any other class if you want to. And so I proved my point with engineer. And so I feel like that at some point my most requested thing is to do it with other classes. I just can't in Europe right now because European competitive TF2 is very conservative, whereas North American TF2 is very, very progressive. If that's a whole conversation, but yeah.
Okay.
So if I do that, right now I kind of have soft plans to do Pyro when I get back to the United States. But we'll see. I just have to do this engineer video first, or the how to, because I've already been messaged by people asking how to play engineer in 6v6. I've done a mentoring session and done all that, and so I'm hoping people who play other classes are more interested, and I want the game to get more progressive in the competitive scene. But there are other things with that as well. But either way. So that's what I do.
It's a pretty long intro, but yeah, definitely recommend watching his I played engineer in Sixes video. That's how I found out about you. It's a really good video. I'd recommend that to anyone.
So you said Pyro has really specific purpose, but what about just using the squirt shot? You couldn't just do that?
So Highlander is lame and they banned the squirt shot. In 6v6 it's legal though. So the reasoning for the squirt shot getting banned was because the problem, or like the argument. If you talk to any like actual pyro main or me, I hate this because basically they banned the squirt shot because it countered sniper, right?
Stupid.
That was the argument. I guess I should mention that Highlander is very demo man and sniper centric. And so because of that, they also banned the Darwin's Danger Shield. So that way the pyro can still like flare punch or whatever the sniper. But the problem is that they also forgot the cozy camper like exists. So like it doesn't matter if like the score, like if the Darwin's is banned, because like if they have the detonator or the score or like the flare gun, if you shoot the sniper anyway, unless you're hitting them for the second time and getting that crit, right? Like they're not going to be taking the flinch anyway. So there was no real reason to ban the scorch shot in the first place. But again, in 6v6 and in no restriction 6s, the scorch shot is legal. But yeah, so either way. Also, if you use a detonator, you peek out for too long, you just get headshot and just get snapped by the enemy team sniper, because snipers in Highlander are very good.
Mm-hmm.
So
and confirm.
Yeah, I hate snipers just in casual. I can't imagine what it's like in competitive.
It sucks.
I
can tell you, it sucks.
The snipers that you have in casual, you're like, is this guy cheating? Like they all go play Highlander.
Yeah, no, most of those guys are Highlander players. The like the crack pub snipers that you play. They're either just 4,000 hour like sniper, like casual sniper gods, or they are like Highlander snipers. It's to the point where on the old version of Steel, you literally could not push. So you have A for free. You could not push B, like full stop, unless your sniper wins the sniper v sniper. If your sniper does not win the sniper v sniper, your options are to never push B and lose, or to push E instead and maybe get that push off, and that's incredibly hard. So sniper is very medic is always going to be the most important class in every game mode. Number 2 in Highlander, it depends. It's either demo man or sniper. Some would argue it's sniper, some would argue it's demo man. Just leave it up for interpretation. So yeah.
Anyway, with that out of the way, I want to get us started with like the questions. So the first question is kind of almost going backward from what we just talked about, but what got you into TF2 in the first place? So not just competitive, but in general.
So for me, it was sometime in 2015. My friend invited me over to his house, and he showed me some games on his computer, like his Minecraft world and stuff. And one of the games he showed me was TF2. And so that's pretty much where it started for me. I got a computer, and then I started playing TF2, and then I got scammed, and I stopped playing for a while. And then I got back into it, and right now I've been playing TF2 without stopping for probably like 2 or 3 years.
All right.
I'm in a similar boat in a way. My buddy that I played with on the 360, we played like 360 games together, and then we played Minecraft on like he got into PC gaming, and I got like a shitty laptop, and I was playing Minecraft with him. And then one day I started playing TF2 at his house because so I started playing TF2 there, and then a couple of months later, I finally installed it on my laptop. So like I think I started playing in like the summer of 2013, but I actually installed it on my like actual profile in like winter in like November or December to start playing with being able to play at the same time. So yeah.
Gotcha.
I wish I had started a little bit earlier, to be honest. I missed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm a TF2 boomer.
Yeah, so I was more like a Gmod kid. Like back in the day, back in like 2012, I'd like take my mom's laptop and like F around on Gmod. It was pretty fun. I was very much into like Gmod, like machinima videos and stuff. Like that was like my thing. I was like a nerd for that at the time. And then I probably started playing like Team Fortress 2 in like 2012, like or around when the Mac update came out, because that's all we had. We had like a 2006 like MacBook laptop, and I got TF2 on there, and I was terrible. But then once I hit like middle school and stuff, I found like other people that also play Team Fortress 2. So then yeah, kind of just went from there, and I haven't stopped playing since. And I've recently been, with doing YouTube and stuff now. This is just what I do now. It's become a lot more enjoyable, and yeah, that's how I got into it.
I can't imagine playing on a 2006 MacBook would have been
Dude, it
very
sucked.
fun.
I can't imagine it because
Yeah,
my start was a little bit different. You guys all had like your friends get you into and stuff. For me, I'd been playing CS:GO actually before I started playing TF2, like sometime around 2012, with a friend who'd introduced me to it. And somehow, like in the CS:GO spirit, it somehow on YouTube transitioned to me watching Star. If any of you guys know that guy, he played with Germa
Everyone
a
knows who
bunch.
Star is.
I don't know, honestly. These like later stage TF2 players, I don't know if they'd really know. Like I love all his content, but
yeah.
yeah.
No, I know my buddy, he started playing his first update was Meet Your Match, actually. And he completely missed Germa and Star. So like the YouTuber at his time was Muzelk, but that was like the only part of it that he caught, essentially.
Music was fun.
In that area.
Music was a fun few years. But either way, I watched German Star. I got into the game. I played that with that same friend who got me into CS. We both got into TF2 in like 2012, 2013. And it was fun. I mean, the Star videos made it look fun, and when I actually played the game, it was fun, and that's pretty much all there was to it. But it's wild though. I've met a few people, a few players that have played so far along in TF2's life where there's not even, you could say, oh, I started playing a tough break. I started playing, this or that. Some people started playing after Jungle Inferno, so they just haven't experienced an update.
I'm really glad that I at least experienced 1 or 2 major updates. I started in tough break, so I remember the invasion update, and one of my biggest memories from that is the game mode where it says, "We are in the beam." That's like one of my earliest TF2 memories.
That's one of my favorites.
I was talking to Uncle Dane about that, actually. There's a significant amount of the TF2 player base. I would say at this point it's probably the majority who have started playing after Inferno, which is kind of crazy to think about. However, when you realize that, like, I mean, Jungle Inferno was over 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
And do you guys remember when the TF2 went free to play? That was during the Uber update, right?
I don't remember that.
I wasn't there for that. I came out a little bit after that.
Jungle Inferno has been out longer than Fortnite Battle Royale.
All right, actually, looking it up. So
that's wild.
TF2 went free to play. During the Uber update in 2011. TF2 has been updateless for as long as it has been free. So, actually, it's been longer.
That's crazy.
From free to play to Jungle Inferno is less time than from Jungle Inferno to now.
Wow.
So it makes sense that most people have started playing after Jungle Inferno.
That sucks, dude. That's like some of my favorite memories are big updates dropping. I specifically like you said. I think Invasion was probably the one that was the most exciting for me as a casual player. But I don't know. They were all really cool.
Yeah.
The only one that I really remember all that well is Jungle Inferno, but I remember when it dropped, so I at least know, a new update dropping had a good vibe.
Yeah, Jungle Inferno was cool too because they redid the contracts in a really good way.
I actually preferred the old contract system. I'll be honest.
Yeah, the contract door.
I prefer the way of getting contract. Let me clarify. So the way you choose contracts is better. However, being able to work on multiple contracts at the same time,
that's true.
Also, being able to turn them in before the round ended is so much better. I understand when the update drops, if the update drops, everyone literally during fucking Gunmetal, they would, as soon as someone, you could see in the chat that they completed their contract, as soon as they finished, they fucking quit immediately. And so I understand why they did it. It's just more of a long-term effect thing, because there are people who still go through the Jungle Inferno contracts now, and it would be significantly better for them if they would be able to do it and immediately turn it in and start working on something else. Because if you get stuck on fucking, I don't know, what the hell is that map called? two forward or
Two forward turbine.
Yeah, something like that, where you have to like cap the flag or get a certain amount of points, and you're like, fuck this.
I've been running through the contracts again with a friend of mine who has never done it before.
Yeah, well, that's easier because you get double the points.
Yeah, because there's two of us. But even then, it sucks. Not with him, because I also did one. I'm doing one solo on a private account. That one's like not recorded or anything. But when I've been doing that one solo, like I'll finish a contract and I'll be sitting there. Sometimes I'll be waiting 5 to 10 minutes for the round to end, and a lot of the times actually, I'll be sitting there. Some people leave, a bunch of bots join. The bots kick me, and I have to start from scratch, which is even crazier, dude. That's the most infuriating thing. I think at bare minimum, if you get kicked, you should. Yeah. So it was good that you clarified that. I'd say the way they like mapped out the contract and all that is way better.
Absolutely.
But not being able to do multiple at the same time and not like being able to turn them in mid-round was definitely worse. I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah. I mean, imagine being on high tower and you need to get 20 pushing the card points. So you get that, and then and you're like, you also can work on the DM contract at the same time. So you're doing both. So you're DMing like you would on the high tower anyway, and then like you can get both contracts done and then turn it in, and then you don't have to be like the asshole or whatever that like caps the point on high tower. That, or if bots joins or whatever, it doesn't matter. You can just take your contract progress and just leave. So
yeah. Speaking of which, what do you guys think about the bot crisis as a whole? It's a pretty, I don't know, there's a lot to talk about there, but
I think honestly, it doesn't exist if you just play on community servers.
I'm going to follow up on that, and kind of, there's nothing to be said about it that hasn't already been said. Like, it sucks.
That's true.
There's no real reason to keep talking about it. Just like play community servers. Like that's pretty much it. I feel bad for people who are like brand new to the game. And I do, like, when I play with friends, I like queue up together. Like that's the only time I have played casual in like the last 6 years, is just queuing up with friends. So I have like no casual XP. It's just community servers. But like in that sense, like casual is great, but like with the bot crisis, there's not much you can do. It's just play community servers if you can. Skyle, Uncletopia, whatever's local to you.
Yeah, I will say it's definitely a big problem for new players though, because if they don't know about it, or even if they do know about it, like community servers are way more sweaty than old school casual servers, even modern casual servers. That's just
because if you are aware of the existence of the
you're just gonna be better.
Browser,
it's not like that's bound to happen. I understand that, but it's unfortunate that casual is like almost not an option for those players. But and then there's also free to play is not being able to speak in voice or to type in text chat.
Yeah.
Which is a side effect of the bot crisis. I think they should just revert that. Like all the bots have been spamming voice chat anyway. I've been dealing with it daily for the last like week or two as I've been grinding out these contracts. So like,
Valve's making money off of it because they have to get premium.
Yeah, true.
Some of these accounts are old.
That's the thing.
I look at they have on like random cosmetics that they got gifted from gift-a-pults and stuff. And some of those were gifted in like 2022. I saw one in 2021. There's a few that have unusuals. It's like, shit's crazy.
Yeah. The one thing I'm actually surprised they haven't done yet. That bot hosters, if you're listening. So one thing, I don't know if any of you guys have done this, because I almost made a video on my second channel about it, which is that if you have nothing better to do in TF2 and you just need something to do, and you are willing to make like another account to do the contracts again, you can make money on the contractor. Like like, it's not much. It's like $5.
I made a video on that actually.
It's a good return.
Yeah, I mean, you pay $249 because you can when you use that like contract pass. If I remember, like the drops that you get from that, it's not like a normal because like free to plays can trade, right? But they can't, like the drops that they get are like cannot be traded. However, the contractor is the only exception to that. If you get the contract pass, everything that you get is tradable and marketable. And so like, and I don't know if it marks you as pay to play or not. So I'm kind of surprised that the bot hosters, if they wanted to get their money's worth in a way, quote unquote, they could just annihilate all of like the vast majority of the contracts. I mean, they can just play sniper still and just do that. And then they would actually make some money, like have some return on their like, because they're paying money to have the bots be hosted.
It would also bring the prices of some of those cases down, like the Infernal Reward Warpaint case and the Jungle Jackpot case.
Which are like
yeah,
that's and those are like $1, right?
Like those on their own already pay off the entire pass, which is crazy because you can do that in about an hour.
Like, I made a video on how much profit you can make, and I think the total was like $12 in profit off of the contract.
That sounds about right.
I calculated this literally a couple days ago because it just depends on like what the prices are on the market of like the cases and stuff. The last time I checked, it was like $5.60, but it can go up to like $10, which I mean, for like living in North America, I mean, if you're a kid, if you're 13 years old and you've got nothing better to do, just go. And you want to like, you don't want to ask your mom. Yeah, if you don't want to ask your mom for like her credit card, you know what I mean? Like, just go for it. Like, I don't see why not.
We'll still have to get the pass.
Well, yeah, no. If I was a kid nowadays, I mean, normally my parents, at least when I was younger and stuff, they'd spend like $5 a year, give or take, for me on a video game. And if I could spend those $5, I would get 2 contract passes on 2 different accounts. I would grind them out.
That's what I would do.
And get double my money, buy another contract pass, double my money, just rinse and repeat, like go the whole way through. Infinite money generator. It's actually, it's not as much as you get just working a normal job in the real world, but if you're a kid and you can't do anything else, like, might as well.
But if you're under the age to work, if you're like 13, 14, 15, then like, I mean, and you want TF2 items and you love TF2, like it's better than if you're gonna play TF2 anyway, just go for it.
Like it's a fun time regardless. Like I'm doing that right now because it is a fun time. Yeah. I'm not doing it because I want to earn another $5 or something.
I just think it would be an interesting video. I definitely know people in South America who would do it. But
I'm honestly surprised the whole like Venezuelan like bot farmers from RuneScape haven't transferred over to TF2.
Probably makes less money, like because
that's true.
Also, because I assume it's more consistent, right? Because like the contracts in casual, you're gonna like an hour's worth of work can just go into nothing if like bots just kick you. You know what I mean? Yeah,
you do have to deal with the enemy bots and like whatnot. But if you queue with you because they all use bots in RuneScape, if you host 6 bots and have them queue up together, like they can't get kicked. They'll probably beat out the other bots or at least go even. Like it actually would be relatively consistent, I feel.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bots never kick each other. Bots, they seem to know like when there's another bot.
Not all bots. A lot of the time they don't, but I have seen it. I even actually saw it last night, so I can confirm that they sometimes don't know. They generally catch on within a day or two of a new bot entering like the whole market or whatever. But
the fucking Terminator Wars.
It is interesting. I've been seeing in the last few days there's been a rise of vaccinator bots that pocket non-bots. It's like someone's botting to try and combat the bots. It's really interesting.
I remember like a year or two ago, someone made a bot called what was it called? Like they led you on to believe that it was a bot that would kick other bots, but it was just another just plain old bot, just branded as something that would get people to not kick it.
The medic bot, that was what you're thinking about. Because the medic bots have been around for a while. Obviously, it's not as like game ruining as a sniper bot, but the thing is, those bots, like when you say they're healing people, they're probably healing one person. It's usually one like guy who's so bad at the game that he can't like play the game. So like they will get the bots to play. Like to heal only that guy the entire time. I mean, after that, if he paid for the server space, I guess he might as well keep it running. But like,
well, I'm saying like there was one that went up and healed me, so I know it wasn't something I paid for or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, if the guy dies, then
another thing I saw the other day, I was playing casual, and there was a sniper bot that just latched onto the nearest teammate and followed them around.
I wonder if it's trying to improve its nav mesh.
I think it might have been. It's like where the player goes is going to be where the enemies are, so it might just be following the real players around to try and get to.
Was that on a new map?
No, it was just on 2 Fort. I only played 2 Fort early. and Dust Bowl.
What's weird is I noticed a lot of time the bots get stuck and quit out on like Cashworks, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I don't know why that map's old as fuck. I don't know why they're stuck on that one.
It's because because if I had to guess, it's because they don't like the bots don't like their movement is not like predetermined or whatever. Like the bot creators aren't going in and fucking manually typing. No, they just go and they just get the map and then they use the Valve like the bot command to generate the nav mesh and then they just pass that on to the bot. So if the nav mesh doesn't work, which it doesn't a lot of the time, then that's probably what happens. But eventually the bot hosters will fix it. So
yeah, for sure. And another weird thing I've noticed queuing casual a lot recently is I don't know what it is. It's definitely not that bots don't work here because they do, and every now and then I find them. But Bread Space, I forgot there was even a map. That's like the most human queuable map I've found recently.
Oh my dude!
I don't know why that map is really confusing, but anytime I queue up a bunch of stuff.
Someone sent me a video of Bread Space. Bread Space I think is okay.
Right,
I think it has some map design problems, but that's a different conversation.
It does.
But someone sent me a video of Bread Space, and the round just changes over. You know what I mean? And so like red is coming out of spawn, and so there are 11 people on the red team, and there's like, so they come out of spawn, and of the 11 people, 8 go straight and go the wrong way. Only 3 people went the right way. Like
I
to
played
go to
Bread
the front.
Space. I had my usual stuff on. I normally don't change my loadout. I had like my double unusual soldier loadout, so I had a medic randomly pocket me, and I accidentally walked to last.
Yeah,
and he followed me the whole way there, and I was like, "Yo, we went the wrong way." It just did not make sense. That map is I don't know, but
it's because the spawns like face you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and there's not like any, at least to me, there's not any obvious arrows like there are on other maps.
There's literally a sign right in front of that spawn, by the way. Like immediately as you walk out.
I must be blinded because I do from time to time when I forget where I'm going, but like I didn't see a lot of them on my way in Bread Space because there's so much just asteroid texture and stuff.
The problem is like I think as TF2 players, signs mean a few different things, and because signs, like for example, if you're pushing into like you're playing an attack defend map, and you're a blue team, and you get to you're starting to push the second point, you don't follow the signs anymore. You do the opposite of what the signs say because it's for the red team to go to like first, right?
Yeah.
And so so like I think like signs can be good, but I think most TF2 players like just don't see them. That or they blend into the map too well, if that makes sense.
That might be what was going on because I genuinely did not notice any. I played in the last week. I think I've been on Bread Space about 20 times, and I still don't remember seeing one sign that whole time. I remember seeing a lot of those green explosive things, but not the signs.
Yeah.
But there's like 50 side corridors, and that map is insane. There's so much going on there. I'm still confused. Like I've been playing it a bunch, and I still don't really know a lot of where everything is. But it's nice because for some reason there's almost never bots on there. Like I'll queue a list of like 50 maps. It'll manually out of the 50 pull a Bread Space game up, and it'll be like 20 other normal people. A lot of them are like newer, but yeah. So I just play it out. But it's just really weird to me that map has been popping up so much for me.
I wish they would bring back the old method of finding matches. You know, when it was all just community servers.
Yeah,
that was. I think that was a lot better.
Are you talking about quick play, or are you talking about?
I think it's quick play.
Oh, I do not miss quick play.
Too well, yeah. I think that was good at the time, but I'd say now it would definitely not go so well.
Okay, so the way I feel about it is that Uncle Dane talked about it in a recent video as well, because I've had this argument many times over the past couple of years. But quick play would not solve the problem. In fact, it would probably make it worse. Because the way that quick play worked before, like there's so many servers you would join, like insta join, it would just be bots. This is a whole different conversation. But I do think one thing that I would be interested in is if you could click a button and allow it to get onto community servers. However, it would only filter the servers based on certain tags. So, like, essentially, if it was a vanilla TF2 server with specific network settings, then it would be included. This is a whole conversation, but I think that would probably be the best way to do it. But to be fair, who are you queuing into at that point? You're only queuing into Skyle and Uncle Toby, which at that point you might as well just choose them from the community server browser.
That makes sense, because you don't want to get into like some random RTD Dust Bowl or class war server if you're queuing Dust Bowl.
Or especially, you don't want people to get into those servers where there's 30 million custom models you're downloading at the start.
Yeah, exactly.
I would not think they should reintroduce that.
You're telling me you don't want to randomly queue into a thing and you're randomly downloading 2 terabytes of furry models?
Kidding? That's what I'd rather be like all the time.
Because I don't know. Too many people. Not too many people play this, but I play a lot of. Not a lot of, but I play a decent amount of Jailbreak. And there's only so many servers for that. But half of them, no, it's fun. Because
I hate Jailbreak.
But I don't like that half the Jailbreak servers have 3 gigabytes of custom random bullshit. It's so annoying. The other half are fine.
You don't even see
it. Half of them are crit enabled for blues. The other half aren't, and it's not marked anywhere. And I have no way of knowing until I'm in. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I understand for maps and stuff, but that is one thing when I play community servers, there's literally 3 sets of servers that I play on. So, or
it'd be the Uncle Topia type servers where it's just the game but hosted by someone that isn't Valve.
Yeah, essentially,
yeah, that makes sense. On the topic of mods, what do you think should be allowed in terms of mods in either the official servers, a competitive setting, etc.? Should you be allowed to have HUDs, animations, textures?
I mean, I don't really care about mods myself. I have a custom HUD. I think the only notable mod I have is I have a music switch to when I do the conga. It plays California Girls by Katy Perry, and it does the dance too. It's cool. It only works on community servers, unfortunately. If I use it in casual, the audio just breaks and sounds like TV static. It's really bad.
Interesting.
But I know back in the day I had a mod where I changed some of my my view model animations for Spy. Those are pretty cool. It's I know a lot of servers don't allow that kind of simple stuff, but yeah, I mean mods like that are cool. I mess with them, but you also have a whole nother rabbit hole like pyrocynical type mods.
Pyro, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. But it's a whole discussion. But I think a lot of mods. I think a lot of people overreact about a lot of mods about them not being allowed and stuff. I think HUDs are fine, and there's some really cool HUDs out there. My one friend has a Super Smash Bros. Custom HUD. It's awesome, but
I've seen some interesting HUDs where people make them as cluttered and unviewable as possible, and they're beautiful.
Oh my god! The HUD I use is just a basic. It has just a slight few upgrades from the basic normal TF2 HUD. It shows your casual stats, and it lets you inspect your hats and your characters better. That's literally it. I like to keep it plain and simple for recording purposes, when I'm in my inventory and stuff. I don't want people to be confused by it.
That makes sense.
Well, you're more of a unboxing kind of items focused guy, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I've been messing with them recently. I've got a whole set of custom animations for each character that will work in casual.
Yeah. I have no mods. 0. I don't have a custom HUD or anything like that.
Stock that's crazy.
Yeah. The only thing I am okay with mods in TF2 though. For custom HUDs, custom animations, custom items. Even I remember getting the SMG to be the assault rifle from Halo or whatever. I think that's fine. Yeah. The only problem is I remember when Valve changed it. So if they fixed this, which it would be difficult to, then I would be cool with it. But like HUDs and animations are fine. The issue is with models and realistic anything that isn't like whitelisted already that you can pass in through overrides,
like wall hacks or whatever.
Yeah, because you could make spies never be invisible. Like when they cloak, they actually are like completely red or completely blue, or have them be like bright white. You could see players through walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Like if that was not a thing, then like 100%. Like I do not care because it's all client side anyway.
Client side, so who cares?
Yeah,
that's fair. Now, I think even animations are technically disabled, but I have some weird command in my auto exec where every time I load into TF2, I quickly load a map and then disconnect from it, and that lets me use custom animations in casual for some reason. So like,
all right.
And there's a whole, I mean, this is a very recent development, but some guy made something called like the lazy preloader, which lets you load like everything, including all those models and stuff, in casual. I haven't looked into it myself, but it seems to be like almost like a bypass for what Valve has in place, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then this kind of falls under the same part of like, you were saying it's all client side or whatever, but what about stuff like sprays or the conscious objector? Like, what are your thoughts on decals, I guess?
I just haven't turned off.
I think it's fine the way it is, because in casual you have to have them turned on. Like it's not even turned on by default, and I think you can only see your friend's sprays anyways, even if it is turned on. So
I think
unless you're
casual,
in a
you can't even
server.
see sprays at all unless it's community server.
Oh, no, in casual you can see your friend's sprays, but that's it. But in community servers, if you have them turned on, you can see any sprays. I think that's fine, honestly, because you have to manually turn it on, so it means you want to see the sprays.
A mod that I should probably get now I'm thinking about it. Because sprays are automatically off and I just have them off. But I'm pretty sure there's a mod to turn off the objector. I should probably do that for YouTube reasons. I keep forgetting that is my first mod.
Yeah. I don't want to, but I probably should, because I mean, it's funny some of the images I see on objectors and stuff, but I've been thinking about it more and more as I record. I've been doing like a series on my second channel where I just play a game with each weapon, and that's just a lot of raw footage. So, like, I even ran into one where I had to double check in editing. I was like, was that NSFW? Like,
there was one video. There was one video I uploaded. I think it's called Jesse Pinkman Plays TF2, and I had to blur like half the video because there were so many porn sprays in the server that I was playing on.
I'm lucky in a way. Then it all. Yeah, I am not at the point of like size on YouTube, especially to like have people like go out of their way and try to ruin my games. And then the follow up to that is that like if I'm playing like 60, if I do like the pyro season, right? Like if someone tries to like have some like heinous shit on their objector or whatever, like they'll just get it like banned from the league. So like it's not something I have to worry about, thankfully, on that end. But in casual, I would, so I should probably get the mod.
Yeah, it's a simple. I don't even know if it's a mod. I think that's even you can include that in your auto exec somewhere. Yeah.
I don't even pay attention to them.
Yeah, it's I think they're fine the way they are. Like everyone was pretty much saying. Like
I personally love sprays.
The fact that they're off by default and you have to enable them pretty much makes them okay.
For sprays, decals are default on though. I think like for me, the only thing is like for anyone who's listening to this, it does not affect them. The only people it affects are YouTubers and Twitch streamers, like anyone who makes content, because then you have to worry about like your YouTube video getting striked because someone thought it would be really funny to pull up furry porn onto their objector. So like, but that's pretty much it though. Like otherwise, like if you're just playing the game regularly, like in you're the age that you're supposed to be to play TF2, then it's fine.
I've even seen that stuff on like Steam profile pics though from time to time. Those get like cleansed or banned eventually, but like they last for a little bit before they get reported. And I've had a few games where there's been some questionable things with Steam profile pics, and I don't even know if there's a way to disable that.
I used to have an objector with a picture of George Costanza from Seinfeld on it. That was pretty funny. I thought it was silly at the time. Now I'm just like a nerd, and I have like 3 objectors with just album covers on them because I'm like a geek wad.
I gifted like 30 objectors with the Weezer Blue Album image on it, with full color, just with gift.
That's valid.
That's nice. I hope those didn't all end up in bots inventories. That's why I don't. I've thought about it.
I think some of them were bots because there's like random letters and numbers and stuff, but there were at least a couple real players that got them.
Yeah, you send a gift to Paul. Your gift has been successfully sent to Omegatronic.
Yeah, that's why I normally throw my shit on Scrap TF. Or one of my favorite things actually is I hop on a random trade server, like Trade Minecraft or whatever, and I just do random like events for items. Like I'll do like a spy crab thing or whatever, and then like the winner gets like whatever I was gonna give away. It's really fun. Well, so we were kind of talking about it to some degree. Cosmetics are a thing, obviously. What do you guys think about all the current cosmetics? Are any of them think they fit like the style of the game? Do you not really care?
I don't care if it fits the style of the game. If it looks cool, then it's fine to me. Like, I just want good looking cosmetics.
There's a lot of like hats and cosmetics that I really like that like people like Zesty Jesus like preach to the sun that they suck, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use it anyway. I have an unusual version of it. Like the real fly hat, the fisherman hat for Pyro that came out summer 21. It's my favorite Pyro hat ever, and I love it. And everyone else says that it sucks, and it's sad. But
that's a good hat.
Yeah, I like that.
like
it's a nice fishing hat. My friend actually has that in his current loadout.
Yeah, but
I think when people are talking about the like the more egregious like against the art style stuff would be more like the Christmas stuff where it's like candy canes, the Halloween stuff that would have been holiday restricted when I started playing the game, or like would have been uber holiday restricted when I started playing the game.
Like the goblin ears or whatever for the heavy engineer.
Yeah. Since that was just added, that'd be an example.
Weird.
Yeah.
But I have no problem with even stuff like that. What I have a problem with is when it makes you confused. Like there's a few pyro sets, mainly with those like dotted pants and like the clown get-ups and whatever. You could paint like your entire body green. And when it's like that, that's when I have a problem. Everything beyond that, everything where it's like, well, I can see his stomach is still red or his stomach's still blue, then I'm fine with it. But when when it changes like the team color almost, like that's when it's a problem.
I did a test with that though. I did a test with that, and I found that it did not really actually affect how good I did, because if you're being burnt alive by someone, you know they're an enemy, and you see them one time, you're gonna automatically know next time you see them that they're not on your team.
The problem is I've had games where one of them is on my team and one's on the other team, and then I just have to guess. And then sometimes I'm shooting my teammate, and then someone else comes around the corner as I'm reloading, and I die because of it. And it wouldn't have happened if they were just a normal ass character model.
Yeah, I literally talked about this in my first podcast because I ran into a guy a couple times that had both those sets. This was like a year ago, though, back before the debate was so hot. So I guess I've had time to ruminate on this. I think team recognition is kind of an issue. I think people either don't care about it at all or care like. I don't think most people will disagree that team recognition is important. I think the problem is more like people. It's dependent. People have two arguments. There's the people who have the team recognition people. Then you have the people who care about the art style of the game, and then you have the people who don't really care at all. The people who don't care at all or don't care like about the art style of the game will also they also don't care. They say that they don't care about team recognition because they feel like that's an attack from another group, quote unquote, which is the the art style of the game people. And it is a problem. However, thankfully, it is not a huge problem. I think because of the recent videos, because I wanted to make a video on this a while ago, actually, because back in the day. So fun fact, with very few, with it is a rarity. If you look at any stats, back when stats.tf existed, if you go to backpack.tf and go to any item, any regular item, whether it be unique or strange, the vast majority of the time, the majority of the paints on an item will be Australian gold. The only exceptions typically are if there is a certain set or whatever that uses a certain paint, or if it's a beard, they'll paint it brown or whatever. For the most part, though, the number one paint almost always going to be Australian gold. And so you can tell what items are break team recognition based on the paint. And for the pyro set you were talking about, if you went onto the paint stats, the vast majority of the paint, the like items that were painted were the opposite team color paints, where the similar color to slate, where that's
Yeah,
where that's
there's
blue,
that. There's
yeah.
there's the ones where you basically color it almost like blue or red, but then there's the
Yeah.
majority of the ones I've seen are always pink or green, where you don't really know.
Yeah,
It's
the pink or
either
green
way.
doesn't matter me as much. It's just an eyesore. I think the main issue right now is that like there's kind of two things. One, there's like the paint regions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the other thing realistically is that a similar color to slate, that paint just should not exist.
Yeah,
it is
it
literally
looks-
just
it looks
blue.
like blue.
It's just blue.
Yeah.
It is blue. It's like it's like a darker teal. Why?
Yeah.
So like you remove that, and then like other than that, you can just complain about paint regions. For me, like I am more in the boat of, I think I would prefer items go back to kind of like the older art style, but I am an older player. So of
Yeah.
course I'm going to be, I don't care about like, I'm also just like an older guy. So like I would rather like things fit the game itself. I don't need like the game to look like Fortnite or whatever, or like Halo has kind of gone off of the rails in some cosmetics as well. Like I would rather it like fit the characters more, just because that's more interesting to me personally. Like because I remember back in the day when the potassium bonnet, like, or the banana hat for anyone who doesn't know, was that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I remember that back in the day.
I don't remember that being
it was a
thing.
huge problem.
I must have missed that then.
That it was.
He made a video about it when it came out.
Yeah, that was a controversy. Yeah,
I guess I'm just forgetting then because I definitely watched all of Funk's stuff back then.
Yeah, I think Funk did make a point about it in his like Death of an Art Style video, and I think like the art style of the game can progress. I think the only main issue is that I think that the different groups have, like the people who say like the art style doesn't really matter as much, I think they have some merit in the way that if you look at items that are from like 2011 to 2013, well, this is I'll go off on a tangent in a second, but if you look at those items, those are definitely like getting away from the original art style of the game, but they still seem fine. Usually where like when you start seeing it change is more when we got to graded cosmetics, and like it's mostly based on like the way that the polygons are done. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And nowadays, like we look at like the Patriots peak, right? And like while it is still like a worse team captain, I don't think anyone is really like against the Patriots peak as an example. Like it's still, you're like, oh yeah, that's a TF2 hat. But like now I think the more problem that we're having is that people are looking at items that are straight up just gimmicks, mostly for Halloween or for winter. And it is like compared to the past, it is like very, very far away. I think like the main examples that people show are like the engineer having a train on his head, or like the eyeballs that shoot out of your eyeballs, whatever, stuff like that. I think people forget though, there was in the Death of an Art Style, Funk actually shows a video of an interview with Robin Walker. And in there, like he references the video a few times, and Funk now says that like that video was like irresponsibly constructed. And if you watch the video that Funk references, I don't know if any of you guys are programmers or anything, but like or game developers for that matter, but like for them, after when that interview was conducted, which I think was 2011, at that point, player customization had already become a major design pillar of Team Fortress 2. So to think that they wouldn't allow the to continue is crazy. So like that is going to be something that they're always going to be like considering, just because that's going to be a major design pillar for them. I am just kind of in the boat where I kind of wish they would tone it back a little bit, but like, I don't think that's going to happen.
Another thing is there's only so many cosmetics that can exist, like so many bucket hats and baseball caps that you can have in a game that match the art style, to where you have to start expanding on that to make more unique cosmetics that don't just look the exact same. Like there's like 20 hats that get released every event, Christmas, summer, Halloween, and that amounts to like 40, 60 hats every year. And you have to start expanding the boundaries of what is acceptable in order to not get stale.
It's power creep in a card game, but with hats. Yeah.
I think it's almost like the same problem where the Pokemon was having, where basically they set themselves up that every year they had like 100 Pokemon or something, and now that they've added a few thousand or whatever, they've started saying like, yeah, we can't have all these in the same game. We have to cut back on some of these with the next release or whatever, and it's causing
literally
backlash.
For them, they literally can, because each one is like a kilobyte. But the yeah. But for TF2, I do agree in a way. Like I know Valve has in interviews said that they don't care about the file size of TF2 because it's what, like 30 gigabytes now or something like that, which
something like that, 20 or 30.
Yeah, for a modern AAA game, that's not like huge.
It's pretty reasonable.
But for a game from 2007, that is enormous, though. That being said, like I think it's like, for me, it's not something I necessarily have to worry about because like I have a more powerful system than most people who play TF2. And so, but for like people who have lower end systems, like the bloat definitely hurts them. Based on like loading time, like not even just loading times for like in game, but like but like to get into the maps and stuff.
I think a lot of the problem lies in the fact that you'd have to download. I think it's mainly in the maps, honestly, if I had to guess. I don't actually know. I haven't looked into this or anything, but that just makes sense. I kind of wish there was a way you could install the game with only a few maps or something. Like there was like a separate version you could install like that, because that would cut down bloat a lot, I feel.
There's way too many maps. We have like 20 maps released every Christmas and Halloween.
We have like, one of my friends asked about it. There's like 120 or something maps total.
Did you see the Halloween? How many maps there were in the Halloween section? There was like
it took me a month. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Remove all the maps that are for the new game mode. That's the way that I see it. Remove those, and then those are the maps that like are actually added to TF2. I do think the map thing is kind of interesting because there are way too many maps in the game right now.
They need to release like maybe 3 max every.
And I'd honestly say that it could. I don't know. I feel like this will be controversial for some people, but not for a majority. I don't think that pastime should be installed by default, or manpower. What's the one with like the power ups and the grappling hooks?
That one. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think those should be installed, but I do think stuff like the Groot Keep is really fun. I play that all the time. That's like one of the few things I queue casual for a lot of the time because that's. I don't know.
The thing is, is like no matter what you do,
you're gonna make someone unhappy. Yeah,
exactly.
It's gonna piss someone off.
I would be okay with having. I pitched the idea of having a rotation of maps for like, I don't know, 5 years, because literally every game does it outside of like people like they did it like when I was playing the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare. They did it for Halo 2 and Halo 3. They did, they have done it for like every other game. They do it with game modes. They do it with maps. TF2 doesn't need to be the exception and let you have the choice for like. I think the choice to have like community server being able to say 2 Fort comes out of rotation, which it likely never would if they implemented that. Like you still have the 8 billion 24/7 2 Fort servers in the community server browser. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it actually gives people a reason to check it out. It'd actually be probably a net positive.
Maps are interesting though. I do think I do kind of wish there was more testing on the maps though, because I know like this last summer update was really good generally for cosmetics. However, like 3 of the maps had enormous, egregious sniper lines. Like, I mean, I don't blame them because 2 of them were very old.
The worst thing by far is not. I mean, Venice is interesting and all, but Whatville.
I love Venice.
Whatville is the worst thing they've ever added to this game.
I love Whatville. Whatville is one of the most fun maps ever.
I played Whatville like once or twice, and then I got a migraine after playing it.
I hop on Whatville, my frames drop from like a few hundred down to like 20, and then I get sniped by someone, and I get spawn camped by 6 different sentries. Like, I don't know, that map is so bad.
Y'all remember when you used to be able to go underneath the map?
Yeah,
there was a lot of maps for that.
Oh man, I have nothing to add to Whatville. I only played it one time. I mean, it's not a good map, but neither is Junction, and that was added 15 years ago. So
No, but I think what feels particularly egregious in the way that you can get spawn camped and everything, like at least on some of the other really questionably bad maps, you can at least walk out of spawn for a few seconds and like, look around before you die. But on Whatville, they have like do you know they have those like circular doors. It's really weird, and there's only one door that leads in the entire spawn, and it's easier to be on the other side of it. Like I don't know. I had a problem where I was getting spawn camped.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to find the person that was like this. This is great. We're gonna put this in. I want
Yeah.
to find that person, and I want to hear like what was going through.
Okay, I can tell you.
mind.
I know exactly what it is. It's like the people who work at Valve don't play the maps, right?
Yeah, they probably just look at the screenshots of the thing. They're like, "Oh, this looks
No,
cute."
they don't even do that.
And
They might do that, but they probably don't. So what actually is going on? This is a community problem, which is if you go on a community workshop, right? How many of you have voted on a map on a community workshop?
I have.
Yeah, you're
don't
part of
think
the
I ever
problem because I'm willing to bet real money, like dollar bills, that you did not play that map before you voted on it.
I voted in total on about 8 maps, and 4 of them I skipped because I hadn't played. 2 of them I voted on that I hadn't played but I'd seen videos, and then 2 I voted because I had played. But I'm probably the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, so you played 2 of the 6 though. But the vast majority of people do not play the maps, which
For sure.
like, to be fair, is like a community server problem. There isn't really a community server that hosts like custom maps, but the problem is no one will ever join those servers.
Yeah, because they're not the maps you want to play. You want to play Upward, you're not going to join the map, like Ball Pit 7. You're going to go pop on Upward.
Well, I mean, even if it's like a
Ball Pit
real payload map or real Koth map or whatever, like people still won't join it because they don't recognize it.
Because it's not named like Upward or something. Like they recognize the point. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the only places that these maps get tested are the community servers that are in rotation that happen to test them, or for like TF2 maps, and then from there, but like that doesn't get like transferred into the Steam Community Workshop. From what I understand from Whatville, that was that guy's literal first map.
No, yeah,
and
he like
yeah,
I've seen like videos on it where the guy basically said like, I wanted to have something in the game, but I barely made that map, and like it was just an experiment. I didn't expect them to contact me to add it.
As a side note, by the way,
in 1 week made the whole thing.
Whenever you guys said that Watergate was your first TF2 experience, by the way,
it's one of my first TF2 experiences. That's one of my earliest memories.
That was that guy's first map. So, like, first map ever was Watergate. And so, I mean, I don't think like him being an inexperienced mapper for Whatville is like necessarily a problem.
The problem with Whatville is the way he made the map was just not correct. Like he hadn't followed many tutorials and stuff. Because he was a guy that made cosmetics and stuff. Right? He made hats, he made like weapon skins, whatever. He had experience with all that. So when he went to make the map, instead of like doing proper stuff and making it like walls with textures and stuff, he basically made it out of models.
Yeah, he made it out with props.
Completely fucked the entire
and it
thing.
Annihilates performance. The thing is, for me, the way that I see it personally is like, yes, it's a problem with like that map, but I see it more as a community issue and an issue of how maps are kind of added to the game.
I think they should do what they did back in the day.
Because I think, well, sort of.
Do you remember the one where I think this was either right before or during Invasion, where they had a few maps that were in a beta section? There was like 4 or 5 maps. There was one with like robots and lasers on either side. There was one where you could go walk outside the map and stuff. That was a cool idea.
Those weren't community maps. Those were Valve-made maps.
Valve maps,
yeah. Those were those.
I think it'd be interesting if they could somehow incorporate, maybe before each season or something. Let's say like I don't know how they would do this, but somehow incorporate that, but with community maps. That makes sense.
The issue, like literally, no matter the way that they go with it, there's going to be problems. Because I think the issue is because say you make a queue that gets you in. Say there's 20 maps that Valve is looking at adding in the next update, right?
Yeah.
And there's a special queue that you can join that gets you in to vote on those maps. I think that would still have its flaws, just because people would join to automatically vote yes on their friends' maps and blah blah blah. You get the point. Or a content creator, or whatever, can hugely influence the like the voting on a map or X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Whatever.
That being said, I do think that would still be better to where it is right now, because like right now,
I mean, right now that what you just described, where you said content creators and friends of friends like influence each other, that's what happens. I mean, literally people make videos saying, "I made this map. Go click the yes button on it," and then people click the yes button on it. And I've seen stuff.
Name one content creator mapper that besides UEAK Crash.
I
don't even know who that is.
AAR. He did a video back in the day on TF2's default config sucking and stuff. He's got 50k subs. He's a decent sized creator.
Yeah. Okay. Are you talking about rephrase like name one content creator? That confused me for a little bit
because like if someone who makes maps. That is it, like who is like their content creation is map making.
His content creation is not map making, but he's made maps and made videos talking about that. So
I see. Yeah,
it's not like his only thing, but he's done it.
Got it.
It happens a lot more with like Warpaints, for example. Like recently, the Bad Weapon Academy guy, Fish, forgot his full name.
I saw that video. That was very good.
It's a very good tutorial, but he also mentions, "Hey, vote yes on my Warpaints," and he has them linked. And I think a lot of people will.
In that video, he said, "If you like it, vote yes." I do think I did not vote yes on that because I think the sticker that he has for that. I think the war paint in general looks good, except for like the sticker.
But I will say that video is fire because I was looking to making a war paint like 2 weeks before he put it out by pure coincidence. And I couldn't find anything, and that video covered like everything I found after like a week worth of just looking at random Steam guides and like 3-year-old YouTube videos that were kind of out of date.
Oh, okay. You want to hear a spicy take?
Mm-hmm.
I up until this summer update never liked TF2 skins or war paints.
I don't think that's a spicy take. I agree with that completely.
I remember when they were first added.
Here. I hated them when they were added, and I really liked them, like you said, recently. It wasn't even the summer update. It was like a few months ago, just randomly.
The new war paints that are like the secretly serviced and the steel brushed are the first ones where I was like, okay, this is fine.
So good, man.
Those are until like 3 months ago, I was a like skin war paint hater. These are good for getting stranges, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like because it was mostly a team recognition thing for me.
I think steel brush really opened my eyes on that. I agree. That particular war paint is the fact that that's a blue.
It does not help that most of them look bad.
Steel brush is purple. Steel brush is purple.
Steel brush is purple.
Oh, it's purple. I mean, the fact that it's purple, not like the red, is insane. I mean, it's a good thing because it means there's more of them, and it means I could buy one at a reasonable price. But like,
relatively,
goddamn. That skin is sexy.
There's a total of like 4 war paint cases that I personally think are good. The Jungle Jackpot, Infernal Reward, Winter 2017, which in my opinion is the greatest case in TF2 by far.
I mean, everyone thinks that because it has Damascus mahogany in it.
And the Summer 2023 Warpaint case.
I mean, how many Warpaint cases even are there? Isn't there like 10?
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's like 10. Half of them, more than half of them, are just
so half of them are good and half of them suck is actually decent.
Bad.
I'd say
the small minority of them are good. The rest is just all Halloween and Christmas garbage. Nobody likes them.
Yeah.
And I hate Halloween and Christmas themed cosmetics and war paints now.
Yeah, I hate all those war paints that are themed like that, but I don't. And it's kind of like we were talking about earlier, where it's like I don't like them being in the game, but I don't completely hate them being in the game. Like I'm never gonna equip one or buy one personally, but them existing isn't really.
The only issue that I have in that way is more like this item being added could have been space for another good item to have been added, or just less. Just let there be more because like of how like the unboxing chances work. Like if that item wasn't there, then someone would have unboxed something else that would have been better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's I really hope they stick with the theme of the unthemed cases because they did that for summer, and that was the first time they ever.
I mean, that's how they started way back when they started them, because I've been watching a lot of Warpaint related content recently, mainly Zesty Jesus, because he's like the only guy out there.
He's actually thinking of cashing out. I'm in a Discord server with him. He's trying to sell his strange minimal wear top shelf minigun. Just one of one. It's the lowest wear strange top shelf minigun in existence, which is the most expensive skin in TF2.
I honestly don't think that skin looks that nice. I know it's rare and all, and that's the main driving factor, but anyway.
It's one of the best looking skins in the game. That's like the consensus amongst skin people.
Oh, I guess I'm still not a skin person.
That's the gold and black one, right? From like one of the first collections.
Gold and black.
That was good. Yeah, I like that.
It's the most expensive non-strange skin in the game.
That is true.
That isn't unusual. It's like 300 keys, which is like $500 or $600.
It's mainly because it looks solid and it's also exceedingly rare.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a really good combination for prices.
I don't know.
And there doesn't even exist a strange factory new one, just because of how expensive it would be to make one. It would be like $20,000 just for an attempt, and you'd only have a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah, no, someone attempted one I thought a few years back for like 8K and just didn't hit it.
Yeah, there's 2 strange factory new top shelf grenade launchers. There's 1 strange factory new top shelf wrench, and there's no strange factory new top shelf miniguns.
Yeah. But anyway, kind of on that same topic, we mentioned the cases. What are your thoughts on cases and unboxing being such a large part of TF2's existence?
I think it's essential. Without unboxing, TF2 would not be anything today. It'd basically be like playing Counter-Strike Source or like playing Team Fortress Classic. There wouldn't be much of a reason to play it. Like for me, the only reason I play TF2 is because it has items and I like collecting stuff, and that's what I spend most of my time doing in TF2.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I'm an egregious gambling addict. So like, I mean, it's my cup of tea. But I know some people do it, and then some people don't like it. Oh, it's a children's slot machine. But I mean, it's there. You can just not do it, right? And all in all, at the end of the day, it makes Valve a shit ton of money. I think who was that? I think it was Zealot that made a video about how much money Valve makes on like cases, and it was like a couple $10 million. Like it was nuts.
You said a couple $1 million?
A couple $10 million.
No, that's nothing for them though.
No, I think it was something like 100 mil a year or something.
Why don't they just use that money to hire like 2 or 3 dudes to work on TF2?
That's not how they work.
I know, but they could just do that. I hate how they hire people and they let them work on whatever they want to work on instead of what needs to be worked on. That's
actually a double-edged sword. I like so obviously it sucks that they're not spending a lot of that money back into TF2, but they use a lot of cool stuff like Steam, the platform being a little bit better every year. And also the recent thing of the Steam Deck. I love my Steam Deck, and I'm kind of glad in a way that they are functioning the way they do. Otherwise, the Steam Deck probably would have never happened. So, like, it goes both ways.
Steam is not functioning better every year. If anything, it's getting worse. I have trouble loading my inventory. Actually, it has gotten a little bit better recently. That's
a problem.
Browsing the inventory in the community markets it's cancer.
The inventory stuff is happening because there's so many items in TF2.
Yeah,
that actually goes back to what we were talking about earlier when we said there's too many items, too many maps. It's because of that the item servers were not built initially to handle all that, and they've been actually. I feel like it's been getting better the last year.
It has been getting a tad bit better, but
I remember last year was awful.
It was a big problem. It sucked, and especially I think the Steam mobile app got a big update, and the mobile app wasn't good already, and then they updated it and made it somehow worse.
Like it's so much better. What are you talking about?
I love the current one. What are you talking about? I love the current one.
I like the new one.
The current Steam mobile app, the old Steam mobile app was literally like a glorified just like authentication app with just like a code on it. The new one, you could like message people, do trades, confirm stuff, use a QR code scanner, like everything all in the same app. It's great.
Yeah, the thing the only gripe I have with the Steam app right now is having to download a separate app to use the Steam chat. I think that's a little silly. I like the old one better. But I mean,
Oh,
I think that's fair.
is there a separate thing for that? I didn't.
Yeah, there's a separate app that you have to use.
I
in order
don't
to
use
message
Steam
people on
chat.
Discord.
Yeah, anyone I'm gonna message on Steam, I message on Discord, so I don't really ever think about that or use it. But that's fair. I guess if you're doing a lot of trading and stuff, it'd be a
yeah.
bit
Well,
annoying.
another thing about trading is you can't look in inventories. So like if you open like 20 different people's inventories to look through their stuff for, I don't know, if you're looking for a specific item and you have backpack premium and you're trying to see if it has a specific pattern on a weapon, if you open their inventory, someone's inventory 20 times, it stops letting you view people's inventories, even your own, for like 24 hours. It says you've made too
That's
many
on Steam.
requests recently.
Yeah, there's a way to get around that actually.
You have to have a VPN, but it's stupid. I had to buy a VPN.
You can
so
also just
around it.
use a different browser. That's it.
I don't know about that.
That's your workaround.
That was a problem with the CS2 beta for me for some reason. I'd like play it for like 15 minutes. This is cool, and then I close, and then I can't view my own inventory or other people's inventory. Like,
well, it's funny to me that CS2 has had less content in the past year than TF2. Like TF2 has been getting a lot more updates than CS.
CS2's been having a lot of updates. It's just they're all bug fixing and stuff.
CS2 has had more major updates than TF2 has had in the last 6 years.
Yeah, but I mean, in the past year, they've had TF2 has a lot more content.
The past year, they were in beta until like I think a month or two ago when they made the full
ported
public
the game to Source 2. That's something like TF2 has been dreaming about for 10 years.
Yeah. I just hope that doesn't mess up the movement. And you know, while I'm talking about that, what are your thoughts on TF2 movement? Like, you like it? You think some of it's too extreme? Do you think some of it should be patched out?
It's unique from any other video game, and that's what I love about it. It's the fact that TF2 movement is so unique and interesting. And then once you learn once you really learn how to do stuff like rocket jumping, it's some of the most fun you'll ever have on a video game, like rocket jumping, just flying as Scout because that's what he's for. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's so unique, and it's something that you can't, find a lot in other video games. And it's just, that's another reason why TF2 is so special, because of, movement. Movement itself is so unique, and
I like it. That's all I have to say about
it. The only thing I really have to add is TF2 movement is just source movement that is adjusted. And I think the best way to explain that is like in the last 5 years, what are the games that have been the most well known for like movement? Which is like Titanfall 2 and Apex Legends, which are fun fact are in Source. Those are Source games.
Yeah.
So I think that's all I really need to add to that. I do think if some movement stuff in TF2 is like a Source 1 specific, from what I understand, it would not exist in Source 2. Like, for example, I don't think any of you are like really into rocket jumping or like into like learning jumps on maps to like get better in casual or competitive.
Well,
but a big one.
I think I'm pretty good at rocket jumping.
Can you see tap?
I don't know what that is.
There you go. That's all I needed. That's my point.
Well, can you explain to me? Because maybe I have a different mind. Why don't you see?
Since Funk was mentioned earlier, he had made a point in one of his his movement about TF2 where he talks about a part where you can jump over the entire mid of Granary, and he can't do it, but you can do it if you C-tap, which is basically when you like jump as soon as you like uncrouch your like shift key. The problem is most people cannot do it. He said that he said that he tried to do it for hours and he can't. And as someone who has to C-tap for competitive TF2, like it's just something like I have to do. I do think like that is such a niche thing. Like from what I understand, that's just a Source 1 thing. If it got changed in Source 2 and Soldier gets nerfed 1%, I don't think I'm gonna be mad. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where like some changes and stuff like that, I don't think like preserving the super niche things is going to matter very much. Whereas like for example, like Demo Knight trimping would be something that would be a major, like if Demo Knight couldn't trimp anymore, Demo Knight like would go from like being bad to being horrible. Except in like like casual situations where you just farm like all the new installs.
Charge directly at people.
Yeah, I mean, I can C-tap. I just didn't know it was called C-tapping. But another thing I wanted to add was with CS:GO and CS2, they translated the movement of that game to CS2, Source 1 movement to Source 2. It's the same thing. It's the movement is basically the same from CS:GO to CS2, and I feel like, you know, if they do decide to make a Team Fortress 2 Source 2, which will all probably be dead by then, but it'll probably be the same.
I highly doubt CS or TF2 would ever be ported over because there's just so much
spaghetti code. It will.
It'd be too complicated.
I think at some point I think it will take years, but I think at some point they'll sit down and do it. I think they just take, Valve takes things one step at a time, right? I think they were doing that whole Half-Life Alyx VR or whatever first, and then once they finish that up, they dedicate a lot to CS2, and once they finish that up, they'll go on to something else. And I think maybe TF2 eventually will be that something else. It might not happen in the next year or so, but it might happen 10, 20 years from now.
I do believe that TF2 at least does have some big things in its future. I don't think it's...
But I will say... movement though is, that's a lot of why I like TF2. Initially that's not what got me into it, and for the longest time I didn't care about it much, but as I've played other games like Overwatch and whatever, and I've realized I enjoy games that start simple but have limitless potential for growth. And I think TF2's movement being so insane and basically everything of TF2 movement is like a bug that they just didn't patch, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't think you could think up trimping if you wanted to. I think that was a mistake, but they left it in because it was cool, which is, I think that's how you should do game development. Mm-hmm. I'm not a game developer, by the way. I just think that it's a good idea.
That's why the spy exists. So.
Right, yeah. That's why the creeper exists in Minecraft or whatever, right? It's like they had a bug, they thought it was cool, they added to the game. But stuff like rocket jumping and trimping, I think the fact that there is so much tech, basically like an infinite amount of tech with new stuff being discovered even 10, 20 years after the fact, it's like, I don't know. I think that limitless potential of the movement in TF2 is a really big part of why I like it. And if they removed even small parts of that, unless it's very minor, it's like one tech or two techs here or there, I think it might change a lot about how I like the game.
No, I think that's fair.
I just spoke on, why I thought like Moon was a big part of why I liked the game. And we're going to go to a big part of the game for most people. And I'm going to kind of combine two questions in one here. What is your favorite class and why? And then your least favorite class and why in the game?
My favorite class? Actually, that's a good question.
It's Spy for me. I'm a geekwad, and I was a geek since like 2012. I love Spy. I was one of those nerds that's like, if I play Spy, I'm the cool kid, and I sucked. I was terrible at Spy all the way up until like 2 years ago. I started learning the video game, but yeah, for me it was just now it branched off. I like Spy, I like Scout. I'm starting to play Soldier. I'm not good. I'm not good at it, but I'll do it if I have to. I've been very much taking an interest to Medic as well. Medic is really fun. Ubering a heavy and watching him mow down the whole team is really fun, surprisingly. And but yeah, I'm a Spy guy all around.
My least favorite class has got to be Sniper. I absolutely hate Sniper with a passion. I think TF2 would be a better game without Sniper. That's a hot take, yeah. And my favorite class is Soldier because he's the best for taking out Sniper.
Yeah, I hate playing against Sniper, and I hate playing as Sniper.
Yeah, I don't know if Soldier would be what I'd use to take out Sniper.
I only played 2 for it, so for me, Soldier is definitely the best. I can camp on the battlements for like 10 minutes and just kill snipers over and over.
That's probably I guess. But even then, I feel like Demo Man might be better. I don't know. Depends on how you're using them, I guess. Yeah, when do you go, Queer?
I think mine are pretty obvious. My favorite class is soldier, and the second is engineer. Big surprise there. A pocket soldier chooses soldier, and who also played engineer in sixes also chooses engineer. So like for my least favorite class, I actually wrote this. I took notes on the notes that you gave us, and I wrote this in 2 ways. And so my least favorite class to play is either spy or sniper. My least played class in TF2 is sniper. My second least played class in TF2 is spy. But my least favorite class to play against is either sniper or scout. That's sniper because of obvious reasons that everyone has problems with. But scout, but that's because like I see like in my nightmares, I see like
high level
like
scout,
the enemy scout on. I see like the enemy. I see the pocket and flank scout on the top of Snakewater mid in my like nightmares. So like that's like something that most people aren't gonna have.
Yeah. I haven't even played to the level you have. Every time I play competitive TF2, it's been at the lowest levels. Steel, iron, whatever. And even
that's the UGC doesn't exist anymore either. So
I know, dude, that's crazy.
No, it's a good
be
thing.
part of it, I guess. It was definitely really scuffed compared to RGL, I will say.
Yeah,
but it was fun in its own way because of that. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I remember the first time I started playing comp TF2, I literally pulled 3 random people who'd also never played before. We didn't do any scrims or practices. We just showed up to games and saw what happened. And there was a lot of goofy stuff that happened there. That was fun. That was some of the most fun I had in TF2. I forgot even what the context of this was. At some point, there was a game we won where we were like, it was for 4s, it wasn't for 6s. Yeah. We had, I think, like a spy, a sniper. We had me on like demo, just just demo man, and I don't play
definitely
demo
not
man.
The traditional lineup for 4s.
And I don't even think we had a medic. I don't remember what our last class was. I think it was just a scout, but we had like no medic, and we won that game. It was fun. It was definitely not heavy. It wasn't optimal in the slightest. It was actually just a fun ass game. But that game was a memorable game right there. And then every other game we got stomped because we were playing that goofy stuff, and we would just get smoked.
Of course. Yeah,
but it was fun. It was a good time.
That's what matters. Just having fun with the boys. But yeah, that's my answer though. At least favorite to play against is probably sniper though. To play, it's either spy or sniper. I don't really care about either or playing either, to be honest.
Yeah, so I'd say I actually have a decent amount of overlap with you for the most played, or not most played, most ones I like the most. It's also soldier and engineer. As to which one I prefer, it kind of depends on like the month, yeah. This month I think I'm leaning towards soldier. Next month it's probably going to be engineer again. Like I just go back and forth all the time. They're pretty even first place for different reasons. Soldier, I like his movement the most. It's very fun. Market gardening I suck at, but it's fun to try and do it, improve in that. And also the fact that you can have splash damage and kind of play suboptimally and still get decent value is also a good time. And then engineer is kind of just relaxing. Like I play like battle engie, gunslinger, shotgun, and pistol. I don't do anything super fancy. I've been using the Frontier Justice recently, but I never really used it up until like a week ago.
It's a straight up good and casual.
It sure is.
Yeah,
I always knew that, but I always just didn't want to use it. I don't know. A lot of times when things are like seem too good, I prefer not to use them. I like using stuff that like
I think perfect. The TF2 players in general, I think, have that. To be honest, because I mean,
could be.
It could also be a regional thing. Because I had this conversation with Uncle Dane and Broccoli, which was that in the Midwest, which I mean, I'm not there right now, but it is incredibly rare to see kunai spies. But on that end, though, I have it's even rare, so rare to see a spy using the Diamondback, for example. And I think there are just some items or the Vaccinator.
The Diamondback in particular is so disgustingly overpowered that even like spy mains don't want to use it. But the Frontier Justice is not that level, I don't think.
There are items as well that are just very underrated. Like for example, like for Scout, like if we're gonna go in the other direction, the Mad Milk is unironically one of the best unlocks in the entire game, and I rarely see it used. Even though it is,
I just don't know how to use it
probably in the top 5 most powerful weapons in the game.
It's probably really solid, but it's just it's not obvious how it's solid, if that makes sense, to a casual or more casual player. Like I kind of see what you can do with it, but it doesn't click in my mind why that would be good versus like the Girardi. It's really fucking obvious.
Oh, the Girardi is also
right.
insanely good. One of the best weapons in the game as well.
Yeah. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. My least favorite kind of depends. Playing against, it's just, I mean, like everyone else, sniper. I even saw like a Shoe Nice video recently where he did a test seeing, if you remove sniper from the game versus having sniper in the game, did the stats change? Did things change a lot? And basically the answer to that was no, in which case I would say just like, remove the class. But yeah, I don't think they should actually remove them. Because there's a lot of sniper players.
They should nerf the sniper rifle.
I think they should nerf the 25 ammo that you don't really need to reload because that's way too much.
Yeah, make it like 12 or 8.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't think that fixes the problem, to be honest.
I mean, doesn't completely, but it would do a lot.
The big problem with sniper
casual.
is the sniper sightlines, and then the fact that the most, like, when you die to a sniper, when do you die to him most of the time? It's because, like, A, when you have to, or B, like, and to this degree, certain game modes are going to be more sniper centric. So for example, like Payload is very much more of a sniper game mode, attack defend, to like capture the flag. Then maps like most control point maps, or like 5CP maps, are going to be, especially modern day 5CP maps, are like Sixes players hate. Like those are going to be very anti-sniper maps for the most part. But that's also because a lot of the 5CP maps that are added are from Sixes, or some of them are, and Sixes players hate sniper more than anything else in the entire game. So I think the big problem with it is that most of the time, like, if you're playing like most people do and you only play Payload, you're gonna get sniped from the sniper who's sitting in the middle of an engineer nest and you can't kill him, or he's standing right next to spawn so you can't kill him, etc., etc. And that's just what makes it annoying. That, or you get Girardi, and then he runs into spawn and gets another one for free. So
that's also a problem.
Yeah.
There's a lot to address with sniper, and I really haven't thought about it enough to have meaningful input here. I just know I don't like, I generally in video games, I don't like things that feel like you personally have no counterplay, if that makes sense. Like, if I get sniped across the map, the only real counterplay was like, oh, I should have known he had that sight line and just not walked on that fourth of the map or some shit like that, and that just isn't fun. It's kind of a problem. This comes from me playing Overwatch recently as well. It's like sometimes, like, I play a lot of, I don't know if you guys know Overwatch, but I play a character called Reinhardt, and there's
a character guy, right? Oh no, that's the hammer guy. That's right.
The big monkey guy's Winston, but Reinhardt's the hammer guy, hammer and shield, right? So he's a melee character. And then there's a character called Bastion who is just a big turret. He's actually inspired by Hadi. And he basically can just sit there, break your shield, and kill you before you can get close to him on pretty much every map with no counterplay, at least for a time period when his stats were overtuned. Because there's some downtime between when he can go, like, kind of, he's basically like really weak and he goes heavy mode and then he gets really weak again.
Are you talking about Overwatch 1 or 2?
2.
Okay, I haven't played 2, so I don't know. Yeah,
Overwatch 1 Bastion was a whole different thing, but but in Overwatch 2, basically that combined with there's another tank you'd fight against called Orisa, who would just push you around the map and force you to go places, and you literally couldn't do anything about it because she had abilities to stop you from using every single one of your abilities, and those characters comboed together would literally stop you from having any player agency.
Yeah, they were playing like a tower defense game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Funny.
So I just got, you get beat up for free, and the only counterplay to that was literally just like, don't even get close to engaging with them and just keep a really long distance, which you don't want to do on a melee character, right? And then that was a situation I felt like there's like no counterplay. There's nothing I can really do here unless my team is good enough to help me deal with one of the two threats, so I can then deal with the other one, right? Because as a pair, they're oppressive. Individually, they were both manageable.
Yeah.
A lot of times I just didn't have teammates to help with that. But point being, though, it was a pretty long tangent. I just don't like when I feel like I can't do anything, and sniper makes me feel like that. And no other class, when I die to them, do I feel like, unless it's like some guy with 3 medic pockets. But that's like, that's a whole
Really
different
rare.
argument.
That's rare.
Yeah.
But unless
Yeah.
it's something like that, I never feel like there was nothing I could do here. Right? It's only I only feel like that way against like good snipers or like a lot of class stacking, so like 6 engineers or something. Right? That's they're
There
both
are a
like
couple spies that I played against that are absolutely infuriating. Like they use the dead ringer, and there's no way to kill them. They go on like 40 kill streaks, and it just ruins the game for me.
That also will depend on what you play. You said that you play like 2 for it, so I assume like the spies you're playing against are like just farming the fresh installs to get like a million health off of the
Oh, it's
like the
it's me.
you know what I mean?
Like I can't even take them out because they're so good. They have so much skill. It's
yeah, but
infuriating.
I think then though, like there's a difference between infuriating in that sense because obviously it still sucks. Like when there's a good scout who completely dominates me, because sometimes some like sixes or like invite players something will hop in casual, and those guys will completely dominate me. But like it sucks. It's not fun to lose, but I know I could have done something. Even if it feels like I could do barely anything, there's something, right? The word barely is there for a reason. If I hit some crazy air shot or something, like I could have probably killed them.
You switch to engineer and you annoy them with a mini
yeah,
sentry.
just swap to that when you pull the gunslinger. Yeah, there you go. But with sniper, if there's a really good sniper, the only real answer is to use something even more egregious. The vaccinator. And if you're not using the vaccinator, it's like, well, you just die.
What I do if there's like a really good sniper is I'll go engineer and I'll just place a sentry on the battlements and he'll try to take it out, but he can only deal 150 damage at a time. So as long as he's the only one trying to shoot the sentry, he won't be able to take it down.
That's a big if. Most people don't like sentries existing. So like I mean, I guess that's
You'd be surprised how long I've been able to keep some of those sentries up. Like I've been able to keep them up for 10 minutes.
I think that's tied
20 minutes.
closer to 2 fort and really new players more than actually a reasonable thing you can always do.
Yeah, I mean, it's only usually in 2 fort.
I was going to say the other thing there, other than the fact that it is 2 fort, like even if this happened in another map, you have now also just ruined your own game.
Yeah.
Your existence is to annoy that sniper, and that's it. Or like not even to annoy him because it won't kill him, right? It's just your existence is now to give the sniper something to shoot at, and so I don't know if that like diminishes your experience or not.
That makes it a little bit more fun to me because I imagine he gets frustrated that he can't take out the sentry, and sometimes I can get one of my team snipers to hide behind the sentry, and that will give him an opportunity to kill the other sniper.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that's more situational though, and I think is not I don't know, maybe it's just me speaking, but I just don't think it's a consistent answer against a good sniper with a solid team.
I guess I should add, I'm not like a sniper hater, I guess. I'm more of like I'm kind of in the Uncle Dane camp where I'm like, sniper is just a bummer. Yeah. That's pretty much it though.
I just don't like when it feels like you have no counterplay. Depending on certain maps and positions, there is oftentimes counterplay, and there's easy to avoid sightlines and nice flank routes I could use to get to them or something like that. But that's very map dependent, also dependent on them not, like you said, just sitting in like an entry nest or something, where it's like impossible to really contest them. But that's, I don't know, that doesn't happen every game, but that would be my least favorite to fight is when the sniper is good compared to any other class. He's the one where I feel like I can't really do anything. Because, if he's just hitting heads, I'm getting hit with a headshot. Even sometimes I'll get into point blank on scout and they'll just, point blank headshot me or something. It's like, damn, I guess he's him. Like, I can't deal with that.
That's when they have the 100% crit rate on whatever melee weapon they're using. And they get like an insane range on you.
I don't know. I've had some, they might just be hacking to be fair. I never really know when they are or not. But
the thing is, keep in mind with random crits, if they're dominating your team, that means they're doing a lot of damage, and the random crit rate on melee is really high.
It's like 60%. It's disgusting. But
it used to be higher if I remember correctly. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. But anyway, back to way back when this whole came up. My least favorite to play personally is medic. I think I just like killing stuff. So. I like helping people when I can, placing dispenser at some corner and having people heal off of it. I don't really mind, but having to sit there and watch, basically almost like watch someone else play the game. I know there's a lot to medic and there's a lot more than just doing that, but whenever I play medic, that's kind of how I feel mentally. so I don't really like playing him that much for that reason.
The only time I ever go medic is if my team absolutely needs it and no one is going medic.
I'll be completely real. Whenever I see, especially YouTubers, like they go into like the loading screen, if medic is their least played class, I think of them less. I'll be honest. I'll just be real with you, because it means you don't help your team.
And this is true. I don't help my team. So
Well, I hope my team winning.
it adds I play to have my fun, and
I'm actually curious. I'm gonna check what my least
meta.
played class is right now.
I think
my least played is definitely medic, 100%, without a shadow
Mine
of
is
a
either
doubt.
medic or spy. I do play troll spy a lot though, so spy may not be last. Oh yeah, medic medic is my least played by a lot. He has half as much as my second least played, which is heavy. I have 74 hours as medic and 142 hours as heavy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
my least played, like by a long shot, is sniper and spy. I only have a couple more hours on spy. Well, I guess I should add, I used to reset my hours every 500 hours. So in like the last 1,000 hours of the game, I only have 15.5 on sniper and 17.4 on spy. So, but then you go to soldier and that has 500, and I have 300 on engineer, 100 on medic, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I'm just now looking at my stats, and I have exactly 316 hours as soldier and 316 hours as scout. I don't even ever think about scout that much. That's crazy.
Scout's good.
Me take
Scout's like the third or fourth best class in the game.
I don't even think about scout, and scout is my second most played class. That's crazy.
I mean, it's just fun to pull out from time to time. Like, it's just a good time.
I do use the soda popper. I will admit, the soda popper is really fun.
For me, it's like fun. Medic is hands down. It's not even gonna be close. My hours are all over the place because I've reset them at random intervals. I don't remember when they were, so the stats are just not accurate.
I've never reset mine.
But in my head canon, I like playing Huntsman Sniper from time to time. It's fun. It's not real sniper, I guess, but it's just fun. Like, it's whatever. And then spy is definitely my second least played, but I pick him more than medic. If there's like some engineer nest that pisses me off, I go spy to handle it. In the same way that Slide or Rangod, I kind of didn't know which one of you were speaking, but the same way that one of you would go medic if your team absolutely needed, I will go spy if that sentry nest is absolutely pissing me off, and I don't think I can deal with it like demo or something.
If there's a sentry nest that's pissing me off, I'll just go troll spy. I don't actually like focus on trying to take it out. I just like annoying the engineers. That's one of my favorite things to do in TF2.
Yeah, like spamming voice lines while invisible or something.
Yeah, and then like I'll go sap their sentry with the red tape recorder, and then I'll run away, and they'll just come back to a level 1 sentry, and I'll have to rebuild it.
Yeah. This is hot. Actually, not even. This is a hot take. But I would say that the red tape recorder is probably one of the most underrated weapons in TF2. For the reason that it has 2 uses. By the way, I know 3 of you this does not matter. But so in competitive, when you move your gun a lot, fun fact: if the engineer places down any building, it can be a sentry gun, it can be a dispenser. If you sap it with a red tape recorder, like when he places it down, since it's reconstructing, it will instantly deconstruct and instantly kill the building. So that's a fun fact. Then the other thing as well is I feel like the big problem that people have with engineers is mostly is going to be stacking on last. It does not help that the most popular game, like the maps in TF2, which are Badwater and Upward, are also some of the maps that have some of the most egregious last holds by like modern day standards. But I mean, it's fine. They were added in like 08 and 2010.
You queue in expecting that, so it's fine.
So like but for those 2, like I don't think people realize that like when there's like 5 engineers in one spot, the best sapper in that situation is not the stock sapper. It's going to be the red tape recorder, because at minimum, you're going to de-level their guns at least once. You're going to get them down for, because what's going to be easier to kill for like an Uber push? 5 level 3 sentry guns, because they're going to just instantly reheal it as soon as you're done. Like they're going to kill you, or you're going to die, and then they're going to reheal it in half a second. Or you de-level their gun, and now they at least have to spend like 10 seconds or more, depending on like if they have dispensers or not, actually upgrading their gun. And getting a level 3 gun, like that's the difference between 2 rockets to 3 rockets. You know what I mean? Or stickies and blah blah blah. You get the point. So like, it's I feel like in those situations, the red tape recorder, like like as an engineer player, it's one of the most annoying things you can do. So
I will say that the
like,
red tape recorder is definitely more annoying than the stock sapper, but at least in casual, a lot of the engineers are very bad. So with the sapper, I
of
can
course,
oftentimes actually destroy a lot of the sentries. I'd rather destroy 3 sentries than D-level 5, if that makes sense. And that's oftentimes what happens.
To be honest, the other thing there that you have to run into, which this is kind of a side thing, but like if the enemy pyro, if there is an enemy pyro, if they're using the homewrecker or not, because like honestly, you're either using the pyro eject or the homewrecker.
I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen a pyro actually use the homewrecker to get rid of a sapper in casual. It just doesn't happen. They have it equipped a lot of the time.
Usually, it only happens if they're
don't
new,
use it.
and that's the only other option they have than stock.
The other time I see it happen is if it's sapping an entrance at their spawn door, because you can just swap real quick and do it.
Dude, okay, that's the funny thing. I've seen pyros like unsap buildings, but only not at spawn. Pyros, when I see that spawn, they'll like just melee the sap teleporter with like whatever, like with the power jack, and I'm like, dude, just put on the homewrecker in half a second and unsap it, and then you can take the teleporter. Like, what's like, I don't understand, but
I would do that, but it would
funny.
spawn me at the other spawn, because if I change it inside the spawn, it respawns you instead of just letting you go to the supply locker.
Oh, for 2-4, yeah.
But yeah, but oftentimes, I mean, maneuvering around those pyros is like half the fun of Spy. And there's oftentimes, if there's like 4 engineers, there's at most 2 pyros. Most of the time, there's normally just 1 because there's already so many engineers. So it's normally not too hard to kind of get around them, or stab and sap and then kind of evacuate or something like that.
So it's a lot of fun when they're chasing you down and they're just like shooting all around you, but they cannot find you, and you're just sitting there in a corner, some weird angle, and it's just.
I've definitely found a lot of goofy spots on a lot of those maps that have like fences and stuff. You could stand on the other side of them, and I mean, there's just no way they're gonna check that. No one ever does. It's a very easy getaway. But yeah, I could definitely see the value there, especially the one you mentioned where instantly, if they're placing it, you can instantly destroy it. Especially because I've played some Highlander, I know how useless Spy is 90% of the time. Doing something like that would be big value, even if you maybe died for it.
I saw. I don't know if any of you guys know who Ra is, the Spy YouTuber. But he's on a team with a Cyber Wizard, who's another Spy YouTuber, and I am in their team Discord. The different conversation. Point is that I remember, so Ra, there was a clip that Ra put in there of him actually doing that, because Cyber Wizard has done that and has a bunch of clips of it, and Ra tried to do it, and he actually did it, but he didn't think that he did, and he was like, Cyber, it didn't work, and then he was like, oh wait, no, it did, and because he just it was so funny. Because then they just got a free push. They got a free push off of just insta killing the level 3, and I'm like, dude, the red tape.
Nice. The red tape, like the other one you mentioned, kind of haphazardly, was when they're moving buildings and rotating, and you can kind of lock a building in place for a bit. Yeah, like that is big value. Just the fact that it takes longer is its own merits, but that's generally more in competitive. In casual,
I mean, it's also, I think the big thing is as well with that realistically is on specific maps with mini sentries. That's I know like the
minis. Like, it's better for minis for sure.
Yeah, in like my experience, whenever people talk about the red tape, they almost always talk about minis. They never talk about being able to instant destroy buildings, or the fact that de-leveling a gun is better than sapping it and just instant dying and doing nothing with your life. So
yeah, that's also true. That's definitely something to be considered of.
I say this from the perspective of an engineer player, and as someone that I like who wants to see Spy do better, not as someone who plays Spy, though. I guess I should put that out there. I do know like the consistency of stock is going to be better, but I mean, I'm used to like, especially as engineer, micromanaging my loadouts and like needing like changing it throughout the course of a game. So, and I know like as soldier, especially, you don't need to do that as much. Only to a certain degree, maybe if the like you're playing enclosure and you go into like an enclosed area, it's take off the gunboats and equip a shotgun or the like a banner, you know what I mean? But like otherwise you don't really have to. But yeah,
for sure. Kind of not fully related to what we were talking about, but what are your thoughts on the balance of TF2? Do you think we're in a good place right now? Do you think the game should be balanced more? And if you do, how do you think it should be balanced? Like casually, competitively, or like a mix of both? Or like how do you think that should work out?
I think it's balanced. I think it's pretty balanced. I would like Sniper to be removed, but I think it's balanced enough.
That's another thing that like comes to mind when I think about like how TF2 has lasted this long, is that the game is kind of in like I wouldn't say perfect, but it's in a great like place balance wise, where like, you know, like the game is just like, it's just the same. You can do, there's so many things you can do. There's so many different weapons. There's so many different ways you can play the game. And like, I don't think balance is a big problem. I mean, once in a while I'll hear someone complain about the flog, like, should be removed.
The
like,
flog is not a
that's like-
problem.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, I know. They
The removal of the air blast is like so detrimental.
Well,
unless
yeah.
they're being hard pocketed, it's
No.
like a quick 2 rockets.
One of my favorite things to do in Team Fortress 2 is watching a flog pyro do the fucking thing to activate their crits and just killing them off rip, like, and then laughing on them.
Yeah.
Like the most.
Well, that's if they don't do that stupid taunt cancel where they land on someone's head and instantly have Uber and crits.
That's hard
shit's
though.
Crazy. It's hard.
I will
but
say,
I've seen it. It's disgusting.
Flog specifically, I don't think people realize. Vast majority of the time, flog is not the problem with flog. The problem with flog is that that person who has the flog is being secretly carried by a medic, which is, I mean, medic is the carry class in the game. Having 50% more health is like insane, and most people, this is a different conversation. But for me, I don't like, since I have like the casual and competitive like perspective, and there are only a few items I think that are issues in TF2, and I don't think most casual people are gonna be like mad when I say that the vaccinator is a problem. Like, I think they're like,
I'd say personally, like, I mean, the sniper is the one class I can't say much about. He's such like an enigma for balancing that I can't really say much other than the bizarre bargain's probably a little bit too strong, but I don't really know. I don't play too much sniper outside of Huntsman, and I don't really know how I would change him, so I can't really suggest anything there. But outside of him, I think the only 3 weapons that come to mind are the Wrangler, the Diamondback, and the Vaccinator. I don't even think there's anything else.
So I run Valve competitive as a format within RGL, and so each time I have run it, which is what we call no restriction 6s, for anyone else who's interested. So in there, I only have complaints about 1 or 2 things consistently. Number one complaint is always the Vaccinator. Number 2 is the Wrangler. But there are only a few other items that I think are problematic, which would be the Mad Milk, which I mentioned earlier, but that's not really something people think about. The Girardi, because of just sniper.
Yeah, Girardi.
And then because of a bug, most people don't know this, but with the Fist of Steel, you can quick switch through it. This is just a bug that needs to be fixed more than anything. If you do like a swap to and from thing, you can get the full resistance of the Fist of Steel while also negating the health downside. So you can just tank arrows and like take like 1 million damage and not die. Fun fact.
Interesting.
But no heavy will ever do that in casual. So
I might start doing that thanks to you.
Yeah. Fun fact. But you also need to have like a friend that is a competent medic to do that to you.
Yeah,
Yeah. So all that really needs like for that is just the tweak of how like the item works, like the switch to.
Yeah, that's like a bug fix more than a balance change. That makes sense.
Exactly. But yeah, otherwise.
But I think like Vaccinated Wrangler just too good, but considering that there's like 100 something weapons, 150.
Yeah, TF2 is pretty well balanced.
The fact that there's 3, maybe 4 weapons that anyone can really mention is a really good sign. It's one of the most balanced games out there.
It also means that there's some weapons that need to probably be buffed.
I don't know about that. I think some weapons are designed kind of poorly.
The other thing as well is like, I was talking about like items that like need to be changed. I would be like, there's some items that I kind of wish could get like minorly nerfed. Like for example, I'll use soldier as an example since I'm a soldier player. One of my favorite weapons as soldier is the reserve shooter. I think the reserve shooter is good. I think it's fun. However, to be honest, I think the fact that I can annihilate, like if you're using I can destroy soldiers like who are just rocket jumping. Like I can destroy trolgers, pyros who use the thermal thruster. Like if they're just jumping around, I like can get free mini crits on them.
Does that
engineers
count as an
who
explosive?
It does. It counts as blast jumping.
That's wild.
Engineers who use the Wrangler to Wrangler jump, I get free mini crits on. Medics who use the quick fix. I just don't think it's fair against those classes. I think if it was just like I just got the mini crits on people like me or my teammates popped in the air, perfectly fine. Because then I can just keep using it as normal. It just doesn't feel. I made a video on it a while ago. I just don't. I worded it very poorly. In hindsight, and I'll probably update it eventually. But I think it's not fair to the like the Trollger players or to the like the Pyro players or whoever demos to like that they're using advanced movement. I just fucking one tap them in the sky. I think that's not really fun or fair for them. Like for me, I just like it doing like what you're supposed to do with it, which is you shoot a rocket and like they get popped in the air and you destroy them. Like that I think that's fun. But that's like a minor thing. Like for 99% of casual people, that change is not going to matter at all. But then there's items that just aren't fun to play against, like the Natasha, right? So you get the point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there are weapons like the Natasha or whatever, but I think they're honestly fine because they kind of stuck to play with as well. So it goes both ways. And I think it's okay to have... I think the reason TF2 is so balanced and the reason I like it so much is that generally 9 times out of 10, stock is the best option.
Absolutely.
And I think that is peak game design. When the weapons everyone have are generally the best options, that's good. Right? That's a good starting point. And then they make things that are slightly worse in some scenarios, slightly better in others. Right? Things that are basically more situational and whatnot. I think that's okay. Or like very basic side grades, like the original versus the stock rocket launcher, where it's like technically the original might be better or might be worse, whoever you ask. But it's
I think the other thing as well is like community, like the community looking at things. Because like for the vast majority of with the exception of Demo Man and I think Sniper, right? Technically, melee weapons in TF2 are almost like the stock melee weapons are almost always completely outclassed by like their unlocks. And then for soldier specifically, because like there's the cult of the gunboats, and I say this as someone who like needs the gunboats. Gunboats are fun.
They're probably the best unlock in the game.
Oh, absolutely. The problem is 90% of the people that I see have them equipped in casual do not use them correct, or like they'll have them equipped, but they do like one rocket jump. They do like one, and it's like a pencil jump, and then maybe not even that. And I'm like, it would literally be better for you to have a shotgun or a banner. I would say the vast majority of casual soldiers would be vastly better, like at like supporting their team if they just had a banner, because many of them aren't like practicing jumping around or anything. So like having the gunboats on is just a downgrade for them. But I think there's like the community like just likes the rocket, whatever rocket launcher plus the gunboats and like the market gardener.
It's a good
escape plane. Yeah.
And like we were saying earlier, movements like, well, at least for me, movements half the fun of the game. So like if you don't have the gunboats, you ruin half the fun.
I mean, if you actually rocket jump, yeah. But I see most soldiers like if they're playing like upward, they do like one rocket jump off the wall. They don't like do like a pogo or anything. They just do one jump and then they waddle the rest of the way. And I just think it's kind of cute in a way. It's funny.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah. Like they're learning.
Yeah. All right. And the last kind of set of questions that I had written down here, and for this one time, we maybe don't speak too much because you've already given us a lot of insight here. What are your thoughts on like in-game and the community competitive options like RGL? I have UGC listed here, but I guess it doesn't exist anymore. I didn't really know that. or just Valve in-game.
I guess just to say the website exists. There's just no reason to use it anymore.
Yeah. Like they don't run anything. They don't have any medals. All that. Yeah.
I mean, I think competitive is good in like any video game. Not any video game, but I mean like Team Fortress 2 being in that crowd. I'm not really. I was on a Sixes team it wasn't like legit. I mean, we scrimmed like 3 times and we won like 2 games. We had a positive record, so I mean that's something to throw out
Good
there.
stuff. Yeah.
But I was gonna make it a whole. This is like a year ago. I was gonna make it a whole video. I made a killer thumbnail. It was so cool, and then I just didn't make it for some reason. But that's besides the point. I think competitive is cool. You know, it has its own little community. There's a lot of people that are into it, and there's some people that are not into it. And you know, generally speaking, like 100 years ago, Soundsmith made a video about like the comp players and like the friendlies, like the casual players. I think there's a good you know, balance. You know, they get along, and you know, as long as that's a factor, then it's okay. I think competitive's cool. Keep doing what you're doing if you like competitive, and keep doing what you're doing if you like casual. Whatever.
I personally think that for competitive, there's not enough incentive. Like either the pools, so the prize pool is like $1,000 compared to like millions of dollars for CS:GO. I know it's kind of a stretch to compare CS:GO with TF2, but like $1,000 is like nothing to share amongst like 4 or 5 teams.
We have to think about it. There's not as many competitive TF2 players than there are any other video game.
I know if there was more of a pool, if there was more of an incentive, it would be a much bigger, more successful thing.
Exactly.
And it also feels kind of like the in-game competitive option. Obviously, that's completely dead. There's no reason to do that. But if it was a little bit easier, I think, to get into that kind of stuff, I think more people would do it. Like I tried to get into heavy boxing one time, like the Holiday Punch, because I'm actually really good at that. And I was never able to actually get into one of the matches.
Yeah, interesting. I always forget that those side events, like there was the one where you're only allowed to use the frying pan or whatever. And there was like that. I even participated in the pastime one. There was one where you were only allowed to. It was like spy v spy. It was like 3 spies versus 3 spies, one in the chamber or something.
Well,
I don't know if I count those. It was actually really fun, but I don't know if I count those under competitive. I think that'd be more of like a community event. It happens to be in like a tournament.
Well, yeah, it was like in a tournament style. Like there was obviously like a winner, first place, and second place, and whatnot. But
kind of to what you were saying, though, would you care more about competitive if there was more of like a better in-game system for it? Like if you could hit the competitive button and just find like a solid game on a solid map with decent people in a somewhat reasonable amount of time.
If it was like an actual in-game mechanic for competitive to like, how should I say this? Like if there were like you join in, and the first few matches you play is going to get you a placement of some kind, and that will get you into matches that you
like every other game works.
Yeah,
whereas like you have your like SR, MMR, whatever. Right, like Overwatch, Valorant, Fortnite, like all that type of system.
And I think I would also play it a lot more if they had offered more than just badges, like little things you can wear on your chest for rewards. Like if they had actual hats that they could put in as genuine quality, I think that would, even just that, just free items that you can't sell that are unique and kind of cool to have, would be a lot better than badges.
I was reading about something last year. It was a big esports tournament, and TF2 was a part of it. It's called Insomnia I-69.
Insomnia is there. Yep, Insomnia is there. We're always there.
Is their leagues, right? And I was reading about it, and it was like a TF2 I-69 room reaches 100 decibels with the crowd. Do you know how loud 100 decibels is? That if you've ever been to an NFL game, that is loud. That is like, and then it kind of contradicts what I just said. TF2, competitive TF2 isn't that big of a scene. Obviously, there's people that are fans of it. There's people that follow it. If a stage can reach 100 decibels of cheering in a crowd for a Team Fortress 2 tournament, that's nuts. It blew my mind just reading that. But yeah, that's what I wanted to add, kind of contradicting what I said about TF2 competitive isn't really that big, which I mean it's not, but there's
definitely a small minority.
There's
of
events,
the overall player base, but there's a decent amount. 1% of like 100,000 people is 1,000 people, and that's active every second of every day. there's a lot of people that aren't playing at all hours of the day. They're definitely interested in at least watching competitive and stuff. And it's bigger than 1%. I think it's like 5%. That's a solid amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
If they had as big of like a following as CS:GO, I would totally watch TF2 competitive. But I don't even watch CS:GO, like the CS:GO majors and stuff, and that's like one of the biggest events in gaming at that time. If they had like big matches, like if they just had one competitive TF2 major, I think that would be really good for the TF2 competitive scene.
Yeah,
like there's all sorts of different,
yearly
like with CS:GO, like CS:GO has a major every year.
I think they could even do it like
year.
Dota or whatever. I think Dota's the one where they basically sell an item around the tournament where you get like, I mean, I guess they did this
they
in
need to
CS2.
do something like that with TF2. They need to have
sell
like
the item and they give 50% to the players or whatever. And that's
like in CS:GO they have weapon stickers. In TF2 you could do something like with like bot killer weapons. Like there's a bot head hanging down from the front of your weapon. If you could add something like that onto your gun, like sort of like a festivizer, that would be really cool. That would be something small that wouldn't take very much to implement and wouldn't be
they could figure something out. They could even make some hats that are like exclusive to that because they've made
exclusive hats in the past. They just haven't done it in a long time.
Limited time hats. There was like when the Japan disaster hit or whatever.
Yeah.
There's like 3 hats you got back then that you literally were just available then that 1 week or whatever.
There were noisemakers too that are extremely expensive, like over $100.
Well, I don't think anyone would really care if noisemakers were.
Well, it's a collectible item. People would care for them.
I don't know. I think that would not be the item I would choose. But anyway, I think that could be very interesting. But I do think, at least in my opinion, this might be a hot take, especially maybe when Queequeg doesn't agree with much since he's such an advocate for competitive. But I do think if the game gets too competitive, it'll lose a lot of its charm. A lot of why I like TF2 is the casual nature and the casual matchmaker.
I hate CS:GO. I hate playing CS:GO. I only play CS:GO for the items because it's a good investment.
Yeah, I 1000% agree with that. I hate playing Fortnite now.
I love playing Fortnite.
I mean, I like playing Fortnite because I'm one of the sweaty geekwads that you'll come across because, I just had a stint where I just sat on the video game all day. I was a loser bum that just sat on the game all day. But it's like muscle memory. But like nowadays for that game, there's always someone better than you, and it's really annoying to play.
That's true always, but it's like it's more apparent for sure when there's like ranks and stuff involved.
Yeah.
But anyway, now that we've all had our fair share of talking about the casuals perspective on competitive, what are your thoughts and kind of response as the head? I guess I don't know, head leader, whatever of the TF2 rule set. What did you call it? TF2 sixes.
I run no restriction sixes, which is Valve.
No restriction sixes. There
and
you go.
Then I'm the moderator for IM. Or it's essentially moderator is just a sub admin really, of intermediate in 66. And then I'm also the head of the video team at RGL. So I agree actually with pretty much everything. The thing that I think is funny though is some of the things you talk about have already been done. So you're talking about like majors. Okay, first of all, I guess I should mention that the prize pool for TF2 is typically only about $15,000, which compared to millions is nothing. Yeah. The thing is though is that none of it is Valve funded. Because a fun fact, by the way, side note about like hats and stuff, that's something that we've wanted to do. But the problem is that you, if you do not already have a medal in TF2, you cannot get one for the most part. If you do have a medal in TF2, you cannot make new ones. So, for example, if you play in an RGL event, if you play in sixes, Highlander, Prolander, it does not matter. Every Highlander medal will be one of 3 variants, and it will be the exact same. The only thing that changes is the name, and that's because Valve doesn't allow us to add any other items. Then as for majors, there was literally for TF2, like I-69 was a thing. Like that's a major, quote unquote, for us. Like these lands.
Yeah, that's like.
And there was a land like a month ago, actually a month ago for TF2. There was 3 last year, and I went to 1. And so on. Obviously none during like the COVID lockdowns and stuff. But yeah, so we've had those. The looking to get into competitive, so that is something that we are working on. So one is going to be a pug system, so that way you get ranked and all that stuff. So like that way you can jump in and just kind of fuck around and see.
Try it like what Faceit tried a few years back. Is that the idea?
Essentially, but the problem is that Faceit is so rigid on how the way that they work. It's like
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't mesh well with TF2, but
exactly.
I
like the Faceit works on a very rigid competitive based system. And so like when the problem is as well, it's like if you don't adhere to that system or you don't have options, then it's just not going to work. And that's something that thankfully like we know. So the pug system is something that's been worked on for a while. It's kind of like a meme at this point. And then the other thing as well for me is that for the video team and working on like onboarding stuff. So like if you go to the RGL, if you look up RGL callouts, the first thing you're gonna see is a meme video, not that video. But like after that, you'll see an actual playlist that'll tell you the callouts that I animated in SFM to teach people how to do those. But when the new
are we looking at the ones like prog? Well, like for example, I just looked it up. It says process callouts.
Yeah,
and the other one, and it's not just one video. Unfortunately, there's 3 videos, not one.
There's a playlist of them. Just the video that will probably come up will be the one that
actual
says like
TF2 callouts. I've heard people saying.
Yeah, not that one. That's a meme video.
Yeah, the thing is, I just I searched out of curiosity. The first 3 is that part 2 and that part 3, which takes up my whole screen before I even see your video.
Yeah, of course, because those are like the meme funny videos that like people want to like see rather than like the actual serious guides. Yeah, and so like that's something that's being worked on. But the main thing that I think is going on realistically with the competitive scene, because I talked to Uncle Dane about this a lot, which is that the overlap between casual and competitive is not really there, or it can be. The issue is that realistically, this is the secret overlap between casual and competitive is going to be in 6v6 and no restriction sixes. Ironically, it is not going to be through Highlander, because Highlander there's no off classing, and then the vast majority of the game and in Prolander revolves around sniper, and no one's going to watch that. And to a degree, a lot of people aren't going to like. There's a reason why. So like in Swiftwater, for example, if you play Swiftwater in no restriction sixes, it plays more like casual than like Highlander. Like no restriction sixes and casual play more similarly than casual and Highlander on Swiftwater, just based on like how the meta of the game is. And so I think one of the things to do is to like focus on like what is more casual accessible. What is the things that like is easier to jump into? What's easier to watch?
The biggest overlap? That makes sense.
The big thing that I'm going to be doing in a couple months at minimum, so like it might be longer than that, is so we're working with TF2 maps, and I want to bounty a payload and or attack defend map for 6v6. Because in no restriction sixes, I don't know if you guys were familiar with saw anything about the Chuckle Nuts Cup, which was a no restriction sixes event that we had with YouTubers that participated. And so the maps that we ran, we also we ran like 5CP, Koth, and then we had Payload as well through Vigil, which is a really good community map. And then because that was a map that people would know. And so you get the point. So it's more of I think now the people in the past who unfortunately were at the heads of the competitive scene back then, back when we had the opportunity to talk to Valve, weren't exactly the most they weren't the most willing to work with Valve type. I'll just leave it at that. And that caused a lot of problems that the competitive scene is still kind of dealing with to this day. And even if certain things are not true or whatever, they get kind of perpetuated in pubs and stuff because I mean, why wouldn't they? And so it's just something that we're trying to break. And I think that a lot of people are scared of trying competitive, especially because a lot of the time they feel like they're not good enough. But the secret is that everyone sucks when they start playing competitive TF2.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's I can say from experience. I mean, like I said, I've only ever played at the beginner level, but I've done it. I think 4 or 5 different times in 4 or 5 different ways. I did 1 ulti duo. I did 2 seasons of 4s, 1 of 6s, and 1 Highlander.
Yeah.
And every single time I had fun, and I had very different teams. You know, some of my earlier teams were like we had no clue we were doing, no scrims. We just hopped into a game and lost them. And that was still fun. And then, you know, 6s, there was like some, and then my Highlander team was really sweaty. We went undefeated until finals, and then we lost finals because like literally 80% of our team couldn't show up that day.
That's rough.
And the other team refused to reschedule, and we destroyed them previously in scrims and games. So it was very unfortunate, but yeah, we still had a fun time, and we knew we would have won, so whatever.
Yeah, I think the potential for competitive TF2 is there, given that if you are on TF2 Twitch at all, the top 2 stream, with the exception of Lazy Purple streaming, like once in like every 6 months, the top 2 streamers are
Hadi
number
Banny.
1 is number 1 is Banny, like 100%. Number 2 is RGL, and so you have a competitive.
I thought it was Hadi.
I don't even know who that is.
Is that not the guy's name? Maybe I'm misremembering
Hadi?
things.
But yeah, RGL is typically the number 2 because like having over 100 viewers in TF2 is huge. And RGL gets anywhere from like say 300 to like 1500 like relatively consistently. And so whereas like Banny is in like a similar boat, and so like that's a competitive player, and then RGL is only a competitive league, right? And so like it's just untapped potential. I think right now, I think the main issue is a lack of content for it, and that there are a lot of people in TF2 that want to get better at the game. I mean, literally just look at the existence of Uncle Dane, right? And so like that want to do that, they just don't know how, or you know, they don't know the right steps. But you know, I think giving those people an outlet, like if you like, for me, like I come from like a background of playing like competitive Halo and stuff, like so back in the day I would just watch it, right? And I think if you watch it, the problem is that a lot of competitive TF2 is so different from competitive casual TF2 that it alienates that audience, and I think we are working on ways to fix that, which is good. It's just not something that people are in the casual scene, they're gonna only slowly see it over time, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that sounds pretty exciting. Will say I did back when I did do Highlander, because I couldn't find any resources. I was lucky enough when I did Highlander to find a mentor to teach me all the entry spots, at least
That's
for the maps we were playing. And then I recorded all of the things of us doing that, and I made a playlist, and all those videos have a few hundred views. Not some of my most successful work, but 2 years ago, I think I'm still probably the only one out there with the TF2 product Highlander Engineer Beginner's Guide or whatever. There's just not a lot out there. It'll be exciting the more stuff that gets out there. I think that will definitely help the competitive scene a lot. And it'll be pretty exciting. Honestly, like competitive TF2 is so different from the base game. And in a good way. They're both their own experience, I feel, and they're both really fun for different reasons.
I think I think if people stop thinking of it as kind of like a separate game and more thinking of it as a player resize, which is what it is, then it'll do better. Because I think the best example is if any of you play big team battle in Halo, right? I don't think anyone's gonna say like, since arena, like I don't think anyone's gonna disagree that like, or say that like arena is bad for Halo because you know, because like they only play big team battle. You know what I mean? It's the same idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm excited to see like how you'll will manage to bridge that gap, because
it takes a lot of work.
In my mind, I've done both. I enjoy both, and I plan on hopping competitive TF2 again when I have more time. And I don't know. It'll definitely be a lot of work, and I'm excited to see what happens.
It's basically just getting pugs running, getting servers. Maybe someday we'll have casual TF2 servers, this is something that I've pitched, which is think Uncletopia in a way, except there's no class limits, right? There's no random crits, no random build spread, right? However, so then from there, we'll have the idea is to do one of a few things. One is to have servers for people who only have competitive experience, right? So then they only play like say 12v12 with other like competitive players. But then we would also section off servers for people who have no competitive experience. So that way they don't like hop into a game and then just get annihilated by Banny. You know what I mean? If they're West Coast.
I will say
So-
there was a lot of problems. This might have just been a problem more with UGC than actually competitive TF2. But there was a big problem with smurfing, where I specifically mainly in Ulti Duo, which is the 2v2 mode, where it's just one soldier and a medic versus one soldier and a medic. I remember in my second ever game, I was literally up against some guy that was invite 6 months ago, and he said because it had been one season, he was allowed to now play at the lowest level, which was crazy.
Yeah, UGC and ESEA had that issue. In RGL, there's divisions. This is a whole long conversation, which it's just now, for the most part, the norm. Basically, RGL, when you start playing, you get placed into newcomer if you have no experience. And then from there, you get into amateur, and you can never go back to newcomer. I guess I should add that. But then,
which is, I think, a good thing.
But yeah, so then you get to amateur, and you get placed up and down based on your division, based on how good you are. So if you win amateur, for example, you cannot play amateur again on the same class. So like, say you played amateur and you got first place or second place or third place, doesn't matter, and you played soldier, you are no longer allowed to play soldier in amateur. So unless you like took a break for a game for like 5 years, then whatever. But otherwise, you would either A, you have to move up to intermediate, or B, you can replay the division again, but on a separate class. And then from there, you can only have certain amount of people on your team that are class restricted. So that way you can't just get like literally the entire team, like who won the entire division, right? And then have them replay the division over and over and get first place over and over. It's impossible under the rule set. So like the idea is to like promote competitive play while also like allowing people to play with their friends and stuff. Like for example, Cyber Wizard playing with his friends in the Highlander team, despite him having like main spy experience, he just can't play spy.
And I think that's a fair way of doing it, because a lot of people are very specialist heavy in TF2, so being on a different class, they will actually be significantly worse and it would balance out. So that's a better system than what I remember existing in UGC, which was, I think, 3 months of inactivity meant you could start from the scratch, even if you were invite.
It's just going to be two things. It's going to be a lot of league work, which I already talked about, but it's also just going to be community work, and I talked about this with Dane, which is that, like, for example, the culture around off-classing in sixes, for example, is going to be difficult to break, and it's only going to break once people talk about it and make content about it. It's one of the reasons why I played engineer in sixes
about
video.
it, and also winning with it as well. I think if the teams that are winning are off-classing, people will be more willing to do it.
It's not that, well, everyone off classes in sixes. This is a common pub misconception that no one ever off classes in like sixes ever.
No, people change all the time.
Absolutely. It's meta to hold last as engineer and heavy, for example. But the main thing is just going to be more of like, if you are only good at pyro, can you play pyro full time? The answer, like in RGL, the answer is yes. Pyro doesn't have any weapon bans, whereas in fucking E2F2L, they banned the scorch shot, the detonator, and the fucking gas passer for some reason, because they're weird over there.
There was a lot of weird weapon bans in every competitive.
RGL is just look at RGL for the most part, and there are some problems that I have with the whitelist still. There are more items that should be unbanned in RGL, but that's a different conversation. But like for content though, I think that is like the culture changes are gonna have to come from content. And I don't think that I can be like, I want to be one of those people. Obviously with the engineer video and the next maybe a pyro video or a heavy video or whatever.
But you don't want to be the only one.
I don't think that I can be. If there's going to be an change, one, I cannot be the only one, and two, I'm not like a TF2 YouTuber. I mean, my YouTube channel is only for TF2 stuff, but like I don't want YouTube to be my job. So like that's not something I'm looking to like do full time. Maybe if I have to, like if I'm just not working at a time, and like that's great. But and it like the money is good for some reason, but like that's not like, I don't want that to be my job when I'm already also volunteering and stuff in RGL. But I think it's something that can change over time, and I just hope communication realistically within the community, rather than having like stuff like this compared to like YouTubers making videos. I think the main notorious ones are like Zesty Jesus who will go off and talk about random stuff about competitive that is not true, unfortunately. Or like people who make responses to that when realistically it just needs to be a conversation that is had within the community, like more like this. You get the point.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that was everything we wanted to talk about. So, before we close it off, does anyone else have any closing thoughts or just anything they want to say or maybe re-emphasize or restate before we close off?
We need less Halloween and Christmas themed stuff.
Yeah.
That's all. That's one of my biggest things. I hate especially Christmas themed stuff.
I don't mind stuff that's like themed, but it has to actually make sense. Like, the one, like the Christmas Kringle, wherever, the Santa hat that they added recently, that was okay. But like a train on someone's head, or like something really goofy, like that one spy tree cosmetic or whatever, like they have to look good.
Like a fucking tree on top of your head, and they got like these shitty, unusual effects, like a spiraling Christmas light. It's stuff that nobody wants. It's like trash. It's just
the unusual effects are gonna be trash, but like you can't have too many good effects in the game, or it devalues everything else. Like
they need to have less. Cool. They need to have less. I would say too much stuff. They add too much stuff every year.
Hot take. I wish that they would just. To be honest, the only thing that I think, like, we don't really need more cosmetics. We definitely don't need new unusuals. If they just wanted to drop, like maps and war paints, I'd be cool with that. Honestly,
no, we don't need new maps. Absolutely not. I think we have way too many. Like maybe one or two every
I'm
year.
talking like do the rotation and add maps. And when I say maps, I mean like one or two. I'm not talking like 11 maps. Like we've been getting in the last year, which I know it's weird to complain about so much content being added to TF2 at the moment, but I
agree. It's too much. It's overload.
When you scattershot, the quality is not always there, unfortunately. Or it's just old. It's just dated. I guess I should add that as well.
I do think maps deserve updates. I don't know why most maps, cosmetics, everything that's broken, even war paints. This is actually something I've seen brought up a lot. Even if the creator wants to update it with a fix, like Valve basically just says no. I don't know why they would just say.
There's war paints that could look so much better. Like the elite grade for the summer case, it was supposed to have like this shiny, cool hot rod effect underneath. Like if it was battle scarred, there'd be like this really cool orange, like shiny texture underneath. But instead, it looks like
mustard,
like a fucking McDonald's playground or something underneath this military airplane themed war paint.
It used to be silver, but then they changed it last minute.
I will add for maps, by the way, fun fact, any map changes except for Valve maps specifically are not done by Valve. Those are the map makers who update the maps.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they happen.
But I remember when Snakewater got updated like 2 years ago, and everyone was freaking out, and they're like, "Oh my god, Valve added snakes!" And like, the guy from Snakewater is just a sixes player and just changed the map around to be better for sixes, and then added the snakes.
Yeah.
Like it was not Valve. So
that's interesting. Well, at least they are accepting it. I mean, they just mentioned that one word paint. Valve basically just isn't for whatever reason. But I'm glad.
Well, that's the other thing.
Maps.
The design pillar. It's the self. What's the word I'm looking for? The self. The customization. That is a major design pillar. I think this is kind of a problem, which is like they have the mentality of if people get this and they like it, what if they are disappointed after the change? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so. Yeah, that's the one thing I find interesting. Whereas like maps, they don't really care.
Well, because no one can really buy a map, but you can buy a hat.
You can buy map stamps.
Yeah, but that's like
I know what you mean.
It's yeah. It's
the other thing. Side note. I wish Valve would do. Fun fact: when Valve updates maps, they don't iterate the number of the map. So like there are 10 versions of CP Snakewater Final 1. If they changed it to Final 2, 3, 4, that would be so much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I would be interested in honestly a new generation, and like I don't care if it's all in community unusuals. Just give me a new generation, and then don't add unusuals for like 4 years, please and thank you. Just use that set.
Yeah, I do think all the limited time effects and hats and all that's getting so insane. I can't keep like. I love looking at TF2 items and all that, and I've lost track of half of the effects, what their names are, what they look like. Like, there's just too much.
I've lost
It's
track
too
of a
much.
lot more than half.
A lot of it's
Yeah,
a lot of
I
it's
used to
too
have them
low
memorized.
quality.
I
Yeah,
used to have
I
all
know.
of them
I mean,
memorized.
even now, like all the first like 30 effects, the end of the line effects, stuff like frostbite, roboactive, electrostatic, like even electrostatic. I haven't seen someone with an electrostatic hat in probably 4 years, and I still know it by name because it was like impactful. It was a cool effect. Like it was, I don't know, it was a bigger thing. But now that they're adding 10 effects every 2 months or whatever, it's too much. I can't keep track of all of it.
It does not help that unusual effects are not unique anymore. There's like
Oh,
3
yeah,
versions of every of like
Yes.
of an effect that is added.
If they could stop doing that, I would be. That's more than enough for me. I mean, it'd be cool if there was less but higher quality. But if nothing else, if they
Yeah.
could stop with the 15 variants of the same effect, that would be.
We don't need red,
way better.
blue, green, and yellow versions of the same effect.
Yeah, you're telling me you don't want team color, you don't want purple, green, and yellow. You don't want those 4 for every effect.
Or just make it like a selectable style. To be honest, like
Oh,
let me
dude,
select
honestly,
if I want a
straight
yellow or
up.
a blue one.
Actually, that would be sick. I was gonna
That
say
would be
just
really
do team
cool.
color and then one
Yeah.
other, but honestly, no, that's probably better. Honestly,
No,
I'd be
Team
cool with
Color
that.
and one other they already do for some stuff, and it's still way too much. I always get confused.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than
I
just
think
like something that's just blue, is what I'm saying, or just
I
red.
think a selectable particle effect would be actually really cool and probably easy
That would be
to
sick.
add to the menu. It might break a lot of HUDs though, which is the problem.
I mean, that's on the HUD makers to fix, and that's
yeah.
something they fix in like a day
And
if they're home.
that really
so
wouldn't be a hard. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really cool idea. And I was also going to mention. I mean, a lot of traders or whatever will hate me for this, but I think they should add back in unusual miss to the game. I think
Yes,
unusual combos are
I
sick.
really want that.
I have a unusual exquisite rack, and I would not mind that $800 thing I have to devalue to like $20 if it meant everyone else would have it.
My biggest trading regret of all time, even over getting scammed out of like all my good items. I once traded a Stormy Storm Pyromancer's Mask, which is a misc for
I'm so sorry.
Pyro.
You made a
I
mistake.
traded it. No, I traded it for a goddamn strange bubbling Texas toast, which was an elite grade. I only wanted it because of how rare a strange, unusual elite grade was. It's barely worth like 100 keys, and now that same hat that I traded for it is worth anywhere from 400 to 500 keys. It's crazy.
So on the other hand of that, I wish that they would fix the quick switch bug. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
Or you could quick switch to get an unusual misc.
because it's weird because they have patched it a few months ago, and at some point they could full patch it, and the market around it is so scuffed.
And the whales complained. I do kind of like it's a bug.
They patched one method of doing it, but not the other half, which is why it still works.
Yeah, I hope that I wish that they would go back, like refix that fix that they did.
If they could add normal miss and fix that, I think everyone outside of those big whales would be happy. But like,
I mean, other than the people who already own the items,
they invested into a speculative market. I mean, I wouldn't even be mad. Like I said, I own one. To be fair, it's only one now. One of my bigger regrets is I sold off. I had a Disco Beatdown Antlers I sold 2 years ago, and I regret that because that went up from like $2,000 to like I think 8,000, which is a lot of money.
The vast majority of my backpack worth is tied up in stranges, and a lot of the stranges that I have are only expensive just because like
they're rare, like the PDA or whatever.
Yeah, and it's stupid. Honestly, a lot of those items, I wish that they would drop Strangifiers again in MVM.
Yes, Strangifiers and
I wish they would drop kill streak kits again because I want to get a kill streak.
They still drop kill streak kits. You can still get kill streak fabricators. Yeah.
Not all of them. I don't think. Do you still get the Headless Horseman's head cutter one? I don't think they've dropped that in a long time.
You can only get those from unboxing the those like really rare Halloween restricted.
Yeah, there's like $200 Halloween cases, and that's annoying.
Yeah, but like
I even used an unboxing simulator. I opened all the ones in existence, and I got like one of those Strangifiers.
Yeah,
They're so rare. It's like 1 in 100, and there's only like 50 of each left.
Yep.
Yeah, I do think like the one thing that is nice about Stranger Fires as well, rather than having the like just stranges, is that you can strangify existing items. So like if you have a vintage Kritzkrieg, you can make it. Yeah, if you have a vintage Kritzkrieg, you can make it a genuine or vintage strange Kritzkrieg. You get the point. But
yeah.
I mean, the fact that like no one should have to pay like $300 to fucking get a gunslinger. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's ridiculous.
Like looking at the head cutter, I think the cheapest one I saw on the market was about $500, just so that when I got a 5 kill streak, everyone would know I got a 5 kill streak.
Yeah,
like I'm not going to pay that type of money, but it sucks. I want that item. I have like everything else kill streak. I even got a glitched printing machete kill streak because I wanted that. Like,
yeah,
it's
I just think that I would that's the one thing I would like the please destroy my backpack's value, please, is makes Stranger Fires.
I agree.
Would be nice.
Make every possible weapon strange, including old stuff like the crossing guard that's never been strange.
What I think they should do, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, the crossing guard.
Yeah, there's strange crossing guards. There's not a kill streak one.
What was I thinking?
Kill streak. There's no kill streak kit for the crossing guard.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
But
exactly,
there was a universal kill streak kit that you could put on it. It's a glitched item that's like
No, there's like
what I wish they would do. What I wish they would do is they would drop
Fury,
make a new crate. And for the unusual, instead of like an unusual hat, because nobody wants the
drop an unusual
Series 3 ones. No, universal? they drop a universal Stranger Fire instead of an unusual. Yeah.
Whoa,
that'd be interesting.
You had universal kill streak kits.
I don't want I would prefer Stranger Fires to not be tied to crates, because that's how we got into the problem that we're in right now.
Yeah, because eventually they're not going to drop.
Well, they could do a charity event. Even they could do like a charity event.
That's
like,
still even if
that's the problem with that. It would still be limited. It would be a one-time.
Yeah, I would rather it be part of MVM.
They could do it in MVM too. Do it in MVM instead of a golden pan. You get a universal Stranger Fire.
Yeah, and then this is something I'm also typing a little bit more is spells as well. I have like 30 different spelled items.
Here's
like,
the thing.
Spells come back.
Dude, we're gonna pull the finger on the monkey's paw, dude. We're pulling we're grinding the monkey's paw right now. I've seen people talk about spells. Imagine next year we get 20 spells. The next year we get 15 spells. The next year we get 11 spells.
Let me clarify. Do not add new spells unless it's just one batch, like because you don't want to re-release Exorcism to ruin the market or something. But don't add multiple. We don't need a million spells. But re-releasing the existing ones that we can use them, or making one specific.
It's the generation thing. It's just a generation thing. It's just like how unusuals. We should have just had a 4th generation. We should not have had 200 community-made unusuals for spells. It would be nice to get a 2nd generation of spells rather than having 8 million spells added to the game, etc., etc.
Yeah, I would really like to have new spells in the game. There's so many of my items.
But that'd be cool. Like I know they're Halloween only or full moon only, but whenever the spells are sick because I know it's a full moon. I would not know that otherwise. Like every time I shoot my rocket and it's purple and it's got the piss explosion or whatever, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a full moon tonight. I wouldn't have known. It's like
I don't even notice the spells, honestly. I just like the idea of my weapon just being a little bit more valuable because I really like the atomizer. And, I really want I want to have a more valuable one because I like it so much. So like just being able to add a little bit something else to it. But you can't get a strange collector's atomizer. That's the thing.
No, I got strange syndrome too. I understand.
I want a strange atomizer with exorcism.
I deliberately a year or two ago made sure I got rid of all my stranges because I was getting pissed, and now I've converted to getting kill streak stuff instead.
I almost every weapon that I have is just strange kill streak. But any item that does not have a kill streak doesn't have a strange version. I just have a kill streak, like just kill streak. But that is solely for YouTube reasons, to be honest. Because it is way easier to scrub the timeline or like in DaVinci's Resolve if you're doing like the preview stuff. Like it's so much easier to cut down gameplay when I literally all I have to do is look in the bottom left and I just look at the kill streak number go up.
I'm like, okay, I was at a 4 kill streak here, 8 over here.
Yeah, it has saved me hours and hours of time, if I'm gonna be honest.
That's fair. I just like kill streaks. I like the everyone knowing, oh, I just killed 5 without dying, 10 without dying.
Yeah, I don't really care about that, I'll be honest.
I like it. I think it's neat. I like knowing myself too to see how well I'm popping off.
In Class Wars, it's a lot easier for some reason to get kill streaks for me. Like I can go on a 20 kill streak at least one every 5 games. It just depending
it's probably
on like
because it's more unbalanced than normal. Like for example,
but
if you're running 30 heavies into 30 spies, like the heavies are going to go on some pretty big kill streaks.
No, actually, no, not necessarily. Spies are pretty good at taking out heavies, and sniper is really good against
even if there's. I guess the problem with the heavies would be they would run out of ammo.
Slow, they take too long to rev up the minigun, and if you're shooting down a spy, someone would just sneak up behind you and backstab you.
What if you just walk around as a massive cluster, permanently holding right click? Like, what are the spies going to do?
That sounds horrible.
They could still get in there and backstab at least one or two of you. You're not going to be coordinated enough to do that. It's out of the
question. Like the spies will backstab like 3 heavies, and the other 27 heavies will then turn and kill those spies. Like it's not a.
What if you practice it?
Thing is, though, you can't be that coordinated. It's impossible.
No, but if you put yourself in the, I think a lot of parts of that crowd. Point being, though, if there's a unbalanced Class Wars thing going on, I don't know. You know better than me, but what 2 classes would you say?
Or what?
Where one dominates the other?
Pyro definitely dominates Spy. That's for sure.
Or if you 30 engineers versus 30 pyros, and they're holding last on
Pyro.
Upward.
Well, the server I play on has RTD as well, so if one pyro gets power play, it's over for the engineers.
Well, that fucks the whole thing, but
but
either way,
engineer versus engineer, pretty much always engineer on defense.
Point being, though, it is much easier when you have a significant advantage of your opponent that they literally can't do anything about.
Yes, but even with that significant advantage, I'm able to. Like, even with the disadvantage, I'm able to go on some pretty high kill streaks. I don't know what it is about Class Wars. I think it's the predictability, because you know exactly what you're going to be fighting and you know how to prepare for it. Like, if you're...
Well, that would go the other way, too. The enemy team should have that same preparation. Maybe it's just the people in this
I think it's
something
just... I'm number 3 on the server that I play on. I'm also an admin. I've been playing on that server for over a year, so I have like a lot of experience with Class Wars, and specifically on that Dust Bowl server. So I think I just know the area better than anyone else.
All right. Well, anyway, I think that's probably enough. We're pretty far along. I don't want to make this too long.
It's been like 4 hours.
So 2.5. But I do hope y'all enjoyed it home, and yeah, I'll see you.